Good morning, Xbox. Yes, welcome everyone to the 25th episode of Good Morning Xbox. Where has the time gone? And speaking of things that are going or in the past, yes, this is part 2 of our retrospective as we take a look back at the Xbox One and obviously sort of, I guess, a look at the present state of Xbox, where we're at with the Series S and X. That will be kind of our topic of discussion. Maybe we'll talk about a few other things happening in the game industry depending on our time today. So we're going to get right into it. And the first, we got a super chat coming in, obviously hot and heavy first thing this morning from our fantastic crew. This one comes in from Doggy Dog 420. He drops $1.99 and says, "Happy Sunday and much love, Newf panel and chat." Well, Doggy, much love to you, sir. You're one of a kind. You're amazing. And we also have another super chat coming in from our NLG brother at Fastback. He's in hot and heavy this morning with $5, and he says, "Newf, we need a Good Morning Vietnam version of Good Morning Xbox from your talented radio pie hole." Well, how about this for you, Fastback? Good morning, Xbox. That was a little rigid, but
I love it. I love it, man. That should be it from here on out.
There you go. That's a little rigid. Yes. God bless Robin Williams, man. I miss that guy. Of all the actors that have passed away in the last 10 years, he's the one that I think I missed the most. He was just amazing talent. Really, really sad. But anyway, let's get back onto the positive stuff, and let's introduce our phenomenal panel, starting in the order the way they appear on my screen. We're going to go with the man who looks like he's upgraded a little bit from the Cell Block 22. It's Eternal Shaddai with the fantastic Gears of War hat on his head. What's going on, Eternal?
Good morning, and nice to see everybody here, in the panel, and also here, in the chat. I'm just ready for this, subject for this morning.
Yes, sir. Well, it's going to be a fun show. Over to his, I guess, would be on my screen. It's over to his right. It would be to his left. We have got Axel 1324.
Good morning, everybody. Oh, man, I'm all hyped up on caffeine. Let's do it. Got lots of energy. Let's do it before I crash.
And Axel, I see you've got a little special thing behind you this week. Maybe you want to show that off real early.
I managed to
looks deceiving, right?
One of these bad boys right here.
What happened to the Xbox Series X? Where's the CPU? You killed it.
This one's empty right now. It's just for decorative purposes only for the time being, but it does work.
There you go. Gives you a sense of scale. Would you say that's pretty much the same size as the Series X, or just a bit smaller?
No, I could fit a Series X in here.
Oh, you could fit one, so it's a bit bigger.
Yeah, so the opening is about the size of the Series X.
Okay.
And so everything else is a bit bigger. But it's really cool because you can turn these LEDs on and off, and it has, let's see if I can do this without breaking it, an LED on the top as well, and you can turn that on and off too. And then It has a power switch that has both a max setting and an eco setting, and the max setting is loud. Let me tell you, that is the old jet engine sound. So if you need something to get cold in a hurry, set that bad boy to max.
Yeah. They maybe that's how they kept the price down. They got all those old CPU parts from all the Red Ring of Death 360s and recycle them into a refrigerator. Here's your fan, guys.
Pretty much.
Yeah, you know how they used to put that little ping pong ball? They were joking with the Xbox that it would float. I'm pretty sure that's true with the refrigerator, because that fan is. I'm not sure if it's powerful, but it's loud. That's all I got to say.
I thought Cortana was going to talk when you turn it on.
I wish.
Wouldn't that be cool if you had a hologram of Cortana? That'd be cool.
That would be
all right. Anyway, we got another super chat coming in from our friend Gone Mad, who drops $5 in the super chat, and he says the A team. And we got another super chat coming in from our good friend back east, Caper Grant 692. He drops $5 this morning. Everyone, good morning to you all. Thank you for the super chats, and thank you for being here. Just 1 second, guys. My cat is getting ready to pull down the house here this morning. So just 1 sec.
Cat being a cat. Speaking of cats, hi Terry.
Yes. Speaking of cats, we do have Coolcat Terri in the building this morning. I did not think she was going to make it, but she is here, at least on some capacity. Not in her usual dojo, as they say, but she is here. Good to have her here this morning. How are you, Coolcat Terri?
I'm doing pretty good. Morning, everybody. I apologize. I cannot see the chat. So if anyone talks to me directly, disclaimer, I cannot see the chat. So I won't be able to respond.
Yeah, so maybe put like a question mark at Coolcat Terri if you have something you need to ask her directly. That way we can pass it along to her. Okay. All right. Last but not least is Cerebral Paul, who's coming in looking mighty dashing this morning with that colorful background. And we had a great time last night playing. Eternal Shaddai was there last night as well. So we had a fantastic time playing Halo Infinite. That bad word that Terry hates so much. We had a great time. Good stuff on community game night. Great turnouts the last 2 weeks. Fantastic stuff. Paul, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I was actually I'm coming up off of 30 hours of no sleep, but I did get some sleep last night finally. So yeah, I'm here. I'm ready to go. So good morning, chat. Good morning, everybody who's acknowledged me. And remember, I don't type responses. So if I'm not responding, it's because I don't care. No, it's because I'm lazy. It's but I do usually see your messages.
Absolutely.
Did you just see 30 hours of no sleep?
Yeah, I
Dude,
actually
I'm too
ended
old
up
for
with a
that.
second
I'm too
win.
old for that. I can't do that no more.
I ended up having a second win during community game night. Like, okay, I'm not going to sleep now.
Oh, maybe that was
that
that
is
I heard
actually
snoring,
true.
was it?
No.
I think it was somebody's dog in the background. Actually, it sounded like
It
they were
was
snoring
somebody
pretty
had
heavy.
a new dog, and the new dog and the old dog were playing the whole night. It was fun. Yeah.
Good stuff. All right, let's catch up with the chat real quick, guys, before we get right into the topics. Obviously, Casket Repair, Doggy Dog, Fastback, Caper Grant hanging out with us this morning, as well as Gone Mad. We've got Casket Repair. You're Wicked Hot is hanging out with us here this morning. How are you, sir? Good to see you here. And yeah, I think we've caught up with the chat already. Hopefully people share this out. People, I haven't even done it yet. I'm a little bit behind the 8 ball this morning. Scrub Nurse cannot be with us here due to personal reasons, guys. So we send our love and best wishes out to Scrub and his family. Yeah, it's been a rough week for people in the game community, it seems like, but here we are anyway, and I'm sure Scrub looks forward to getting back on the panel with us as soon as he can. But we will hold down the fort for him today. Like I says, we got Caper Grant got something to say, but Terry, now's the time. What do you got to say, Carrie? You got something? If I got something to say with Terry, now's the time. Oh, okay. Yes, now would be the time. Anyway, geez, I got to get my head in the game. This coffee's got to start sinking in here. All right, guys, let's get back into it. Last week, we ended off with a look at the OG Xbox, 20 years of Halo history, and then follow up with the highly successful Xbox 360, which really laid the foundation and groundwork for the present-day Xbox that we know and love. But now we get to sort of the dark horse in the room, the console that had plenty of promise, but failed to live up to some of that promise, and nearly at one point almost sent Xbox into a state of remission and potentially even stepping away from the game space or selling it off or whatever they may have been considering. But there were some dark times during the Xbox One era. They thought it was going to be an easy road coming off the massive success of the 360. That did not quite happen, largely in part to the botched messaging, the poor marketing of the Xbox One, which is kind of funny. As I said last night when I was talking to Spooky Sprocket, shout out to him, and I was on his dark side podcast, dark wasteland podcast. Sorry, we were having a one-on-one, and we were kind of talking a little bit about this. And I said, how kind of funny is that? Xbox. Some of the messaging that got them in trouble is the stuff that's almost making them successful now. That they were forward thinking. They were trying to push the industry a little further ahead, but perhaps they were a little too far forward and got them in hot water. Now, if you look back at a lot of the things that Don Matrick and the Xbox team had imposed back in 2013, a lot of that stuff is basically now already in fruition. People don't even realize it. It just kind of came out gradual. So that's the trick with the industry, with the gaming industry, is you want to be cutting edge, but sometimes the industry isn't ready for it, or I should say the fan base isn't ready for it, and all that stuff. But anyway, I don't want to kind of go off tangent or keep this on track. So we will talk about the Xbox One era, and we will start again in the order that I announced everybody. We'll talk about when you bought the console, what were some of the games that you liked, and where do you think Xbox went right with the Xbox One generation, and what do you think it went wrong? And we will start with Eternal Shaddai. Shaddai, what are your fondest memories of the Xbox One platform? Still technically relevant, but it is kind of been put out to pasture. I don't even think you can buy an Xbox One S now, can you, or not? I haven't seen any for a long time. Maybe they've completely changed production. So, but anyway, Shaddai, how about you?
Me, I actually, for the Xbox One, I actually bought it when it actually was released on day one. I bought 2 Xbox Ones and 1 PS4.
Holy man!
Yeah, because during that year,
Wow.
You work in the street corner that year, or what?
No,
That's like
you know,
$1,500.
no, because the thing was during during that year, my kids were born, and we were talking about one was 1 year and the other one was pretty much months. So the thing was that I love the feature that Xbox One had, which it was the upgraded Kinect camera because of your voice integration, and it was pretty much easy to actually not only use your voice to make the system turn on, but at the same time I was able to deal with my kids, so I could put Sesame Street for them. So instead of using a controller, you use your voice. So that was pretty much a cool feature that Xbox One had. For gaming, that's
I could just see it. He's trying to do something else in here. For the love of God, Xbox, Sesame Street, holy crap.
it was crazy because I have to say Xbox, Hulu, Xbox. So I had to say Sesame Street. I had to say a lot of things. But at the same time, it was funny because let's say if you didn't have a headset and you had to use a microphone from the camera, a lot of people was bugging and say, Xbox turn off, and the system turn off because the speakers were so loud and it actually read other people's voices for some reason. So it was actually turning them off. So they did that to me a couple of times. So my fondest memory for that and for the first game was Rise on a Rome. That game during that year was in another level compared to Titanfall, which it was another one that was on during release date. But that game, it looked horrible. For me, it looked horrible. It played good. It played really, really good, but the game was horrible, which I had into questioning that how can a 360 pull up a 1080 image and the Xbox One was 720. It went backwards for some reason, unless if it was upscaling to 1080, but still. That Titanfall was pretty much 900p. And during those years, I never used the Kinect, like I said, only when I was dealing with my kids. But when it came for gaming, it was Titanfall, Rise on a Rome, Dead Rising 3. There was a feature on Dead Rising 3 in which I wish for that to come back. And it was, I guess, integrated with the Xbox Smart Glass app. And you could actually use your phone to nuke, and it actually reacted to the game. That was a really cool feature. And also, the other feature that came with it was the snap feature, which you could actually split play, play on stream and all that. The rest of it, when it comes to like Netflix, Disney, and all that, that was something on the side, but they went too much. Like everybody remember the TV, and that was the bad part. But other than that, it became pretty much. There was a lot of, like I say, a lot of cool games that came with it until the Xbox One X, was released. That's when everything changes. But it had some really good idea. It really had some great ideas. It's just that forcing you to use the Kinect what actually killed it. I did had also the Xbox the white version, which was the Destiny. I play a lot of Destiny, like endlessly, religiously. But yeah, those were my fondest memories. Other than Halo 4, that was a great game during that year. Gears 2, 3, 4
Mm-hmm.
during those years. And even I think they had the backwards compatible, and that was a huge hit on during that year. And that's why those were my fondest memories for the Xbox One.
How did you feel about the first time you booted it up and, of course, did all the updating and stuff like that with the dashboard? Because I remember, too, at the time, some people really liked it. Some people absolutely thought it was atrocious and confusing. And it largely was to some degree. I mean, they obviously improved it immensely over the last few years. But when it did first come out, I mean, they had everything sort of shuffled under these like subtitles and things like that, and a lot of people had trouble like finding, hey, where do I find my games and apps or different things on it? So what was your initial impressions of that? I mean, it definitely looked more cleaner. It looked cleaner, more, you know, next gen, as we always say, but at the same time it had some problems.
For me, it's like when I buy a cell phone, I just play around with it. You know, I knew that in every new product that comes out, you have to play around with it so you could get familiarized with it. And that's what I did with the Xbox One. I just wanted it to see the features, what the snap feature was, how the camera works, and all that. So I just play around with it. For me, it wasn't that difficult to learn, you know, how it works. But during the time, of course, all the updating, it became a little bit clearer, a little bit simpler. And like I said, for me, it wasn't that hard. It just I had to play around with it to actually learn. If I mess it up, well, I really mess it up. But it's pretty much it's all about learning for every new product that you buy. Just learn and to see how it works, features, the games, and all that. That's how I did it with like I mentioned, the smart glass feature. That was something that I had to play around with it when I had the Rising 3. And also the feature that I forgot to mention, that's when they announced the Xbox Play Anywhere.
Yeah.
That was a really good feature that you buy it on the system and it became free for the
absolutely.
For the PC. So that was a huge plus.
Great point.
It wasn't that hard.
That's what I'm saying. Microsoft was already forward thinking.
Play Anywhere didn't come about till later in the generation. In fact,
that is correct.
On X generation that introduced that.
Yeah, you okay? It's that 30 hours. It was the 30 hours.
Leave me alone. I'm having a stroke. Leave me alone. No.
Oh, he's stroking something. All right.
Don't talk on your own tongue.
Hey! This is not that show.
That's on his OnlyFans.
I mean, this is also an unprecedented generation too, where we saw both console manufacturers, Xbox and Sony, come out with a mid-gen refresh, as people like to call it, where it sounded like at some point they weren't quite satisfied with the base level hardware and decided to beef things up a little. But we've never really seen that before. We've seen Nintendo, I guess, try variants with it with a lot of their portables, like the Game Boy Advances and the DS and stuff, where they'd they change the screens or they do a few different things. Nintendo was notorious for it. But as far as a console, we've seen the slim versions, but we've never really seen this, where you basically middle of a gen, 4 or 5 years in, here you go, guys, we got a new console for you. We expect you to go buy it. It's going to work better with all those new shiny 4K TVs you just bought. How did you feel about it? I mean, the fact that Xbox not only did essentially one refresh, but technically two, because they came out with the S, which was obviously a slimmer, more modified version of the Xbox One. And then they came out with the powerhouse called, the Xbox One X.
Yeah. By the way, let me correct something real quick.
Yes.
360 actually kind of did the same thing, because later 360s came when they came out. They had HDMI built on board, and they did a few things. So 360 did it. It just wasn't as big of a change, but they actually did change the guts of the 360 during that generation.
You know what they changed? The power brick. They
They
removed
did
that.
that
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, but it was
Yeah.
kind of like I
No.
said, it was almost like a silent change with those generations where
Yeah.
again they were known as like the remodified Slim. We've always kind of gotten used to that for even since the PlayStation 2 era, where they came out with various PS2s, PS3 went through 3 or 4 remodels, the Xbox 360 went for how many remodels did it have? 1,
Yeah.
2, 3 at least, wasn't it? 3 or 4 releases because they even had the
The
Elite. Remember the
Xbox
Elite
360
edition?
had a total of 7 chip changes throughout its life cycle, almost one a year. It was They were trying to get rid of that red ring, so it had 7 chip changes.
Damn.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
The
it's
Falcon
crazy.
chip, I
By the
remember
same
that.
manufacturer, right? By the same manufacturer.
Well, of course, yeah, by the same manufacturer, but the chip had different. They were trying to get rid of that red ring, so it had 7 chip changes.
Yeah.
I think they finally said they got rid of it with the Jasper chip, and then I think 2 more chips came after that, but it wasn't until the black model came out that they finally got rid of the red ring.
My SR-71 Blackbird, and I call
Yeah.
it that because it was loud. Because it was.
I love that one, man.
That-
it works. Anyways,
So
sorry,
should
just
I-
some trivia I know for no
No,
reason.
I love those tidbits. Shaddai, so did you own all iterations then of the Xbox One?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
I know some
I
people
love
that
the white one.
never did. They just still own the fat VCR model.
Yeah, because
yes.
I know when they released the white one, I was like, I really wanted one because here in
Quantum
the
Break.
United States, I thought it was more for Destiny. The same thing that happened with the PlayStation 4 Destiny version. I thought it
No,
was
if I
more.
remember correctly, I think theirs launched alongside of Quantum
Yeah.
Break.
Okay, I get you're correct on that one. But yeah, I had all of them. I really did, just because I wanted something different, because here in the United States is usually the black one. So when I saw the white one, so I'm like, I wanted something different. So what I did was, during that year, my Xbox was for some reason it didn't want to read this, but the digital was fine. So I formatted the system. I went to GameStop real quick before it started acting up, and they were like, okay, here you go. Here's the white one. And start running real fast before they find out that it was a little bit messed up on that system. So, yeah.
So last question for you. How would you rank the Xbox One generation compared to the 360 before it? If you had to say it on a scale of 1 to 10, would you say it was better or would you say it was worse?
I'll tell you something. Let's say from the Xbox One downward, I'd rather say 360, OG, and then the Xbox One. That's how I would.
Okay, so it falls in third place in that order. There you have it. Sounds like Eternal Shaddai was at least moderately disappointed with how things panned out for Xbox. Let's find out the man with the fantastic Xbox swag. Axel, what was your take on the Xbox One generation? When did you get yours? How did you feel about it? All those good things.
Well, according to my gaming museum here, I got one in 2017, Christmas of 2017. So it was already 4 years into the generation when I got mine. And,
why so late?
I was in the army and then I was in college. I really wasn't gaming to begin with anyway. At that time in my life, I was mostly PC gaming because I had a PC for school. So I had taken a break from console gaming. And I remember getting my Xbox One, and I was so excited, mostly for the Kinect. I know a lot of people hate this, but I loved the Kinect. I still do. There's just something about being able to say Xbox on, Xbox record that, Xbox capture that, Xbox TV. I mean, yeah, I know people hated that, but it had really good TV integration. Xbox dashboard. Something to that effect. And then the snap feature. I only got the snap feature for 3 months before they took it out. So I was so happy playing my video games and watching YouTube or watching TV at the same time on the same screen. Very much like you do on PC. You split screen a lot. As a matter of fact, I'm split screen right now on my
screen on screen. Yeah.
Yeah. And they took it out, and I was so upset. And then they got rid of the. They didn't disable Cortana. They just stopped updating her. So she didn't learn anything new after basically I got the Xbox. So my Xbox came with the bundle, the Assassin's Creed Unity Titanfall bundle. And I was not interested in Assassin's Creed Unity because it was a buggy mess. I'm sure it was patched, but I didn't care. So I was all about the original Titanfall and learning how to use burn cards. Rob, Axel just turned on everyone's console who still has a connection. Yeah, I hope so. That's a good deal. But I played Titanfall, but according to my Xbox Museum, my first game on the Xbox One was Worms Armageddon. So there you go. I played an arcade game first and foremost.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because it was Christmas time. I was probably around my family and had to play a kid-friendly game. Couldn't go playing Titanfall and taking up the TV without the kids around. So it totally makes sense. And the Xbox, I was so excited for Xbox One when it came out. I think this is wrong. I definitely signed in before 2017 because I remember having my Xbox One in college, and I graduated college in 2014. So I think this is wrong. I don't think the Xbox Museum is right. And I remember getting my Xbox One my senior year of college, so I barely even turned it on. I was so busy with college trying to graduate that I barely even turned it on. I had games I had bought for my Xbox One that I never even took out of the saran wrap. They were all still wrapped. Halo 5, I bought it on launch day one, the $250 collector's edition, and I didn't play it for 2 or 3 months until I was done with college. So that was my MO during the Xbox One generation, the first half of it. The second half of it was much better. I graduated college. Now I have not as much more free time, but not as much as I did when I was a kid. And I have now college graduate money. So man, I'll tell you what, I started buying games fast. And I loved my Xbox One, man. The backwards compatibility came in. That was a big deal for me. Being a collector, being a physical collector, being able to throw your physical disc on there was amazing. When they first came out with improvements, I believe one of the first games they improved was SSX 3.
Sorry, which one?
SSX 3, the snowboarding game.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I think they added HDR to it and all that stuff. And man, I'll tell you what, it was so good. That backwards compatibility was amazing. And then they brought in as Shaddai said, the play anywhere. So being a PC gamer, that was awesome for me because now if Xbox released a game on Xbox and I bought it digitally, I'd automatically have it for my computer. So that was awesome for me. And this was during an important time when I was splitting time evenly between my PC and my Xbox, which I still pretty much do to this day. At my heart, I think I am a PC gamer / console gamer. I'm just a gamer that likes to play in every room I have. So the Xbox One, though, was a bit of a disappointment because during the OG Xbox and during the Xbox 360 era, it was all about power. And being a PC guy, power matters to a PC guy, right? And the Xbox One was underpowered for what is essentially no reason. There's no excuse why Microsoft couldn't throw better RAM in there to make it just as powerful as the competition.
Right.
Thanks to Don Matrick.
Yeah. And when the X came out and it was the most powerful console ever, I loved that. I went and got mine day one, Scorpio edition. And I took advantage of that. I bought a brand new TV specifically to enjoy 4K games because I still had my old Samsung that I got. When did I get that one? Maybe 2006. Playing my Xbox One. So it wasn't even an LCD, Newf. It was a plasma. So I upgraded my TV to an LG OLED, 4K, all that good stuff. And let me tell you, that TV is phenomenal. I recommend everybody get it. If you're a gamer, definitely get an LG OLED. Yes. They are fantastic.
So I've heard.
And so when that X came out and I started playing, and I ran into some some growing pains. I'm like, it doesn't look any better than the old one. Is HDR even on? And come to find out, I had the wrong HDMI cable, so I had to go buy. I know it came with one, but I don't know why it wasn't long enough for my setup, so I had to go buy an HDMI cable because the old one wasn't working. And they added Dolby Atmos. Had to go buy new sound systems. I mean, I upgraded my whole setup specifically for the Xbox One X, and you want to talk about an experience. It was night and day between the Xbox One and the Xbox One X, and I enjoyed every minute of it, man. The Sea of Thieves came out with that, my favorite game of the generation, and it was the HDR on Sea of Thieves to this day is probably the best implementation. Yeah, all of us are
everybody's not talking correctly.
Implementation of HDR that I've seen outside of Gears 5 as well. The first party really uses that HDR to full effect. And more games got updates, and more games got free updates, and that I think that was the thing that just I love the most about the Xbox One generation is that it's the generation that kept improving, and almost for no reason. Xbox could have left well enough alone. They had enough money; they weren't going to go anywhere. I mean, being honest, if Microsoft wants to fund an okay console system, they could, but they didn't. They just kept going at it and improving and going back and fixing mistakes, adding new textures, optimizing their games more, so forth and so on. And that's what really defined it to me, was that it's the generation that kept improving. Like, if you had a game that you liked, once it got improved, man, you were going to love it.
Yeah.
And that is my Xbox One generation from beginning to end, basically.
Nice. Well, it sounds like you had a pretty damn good time with it overall, so that's the main thing.
I did. I enjoyed it a lot.
How would you rank it then on a scale of 1 to 10 and up against the 360 era?
Oh, man. I know everybody loves the 360 era. I love the 360 era as well. However, I was in college during the 360 era. I didn't play my 360 as much as I should have. I really didn't play. I don't have the fondness of the 360 like everybody else. Great console, nothing wrong with it, but I enjoyed my Xbox One more than my 360. And when it became backwards compatible, everything I missed was there and better. So for me, if I had to rank them, I would probably go OG Xbox first, because I have way too many fond memories to ignore.
Right.
Xbox One and then Xbox 360. But that's only because I didn't play it that much. I was in college. I was studying a lot.
Nice. Good stuff. We got a super chat coming in from Andy Hart, who's in the chat. He drops €5. I think it's €5, £5, is it? Hoping the panel all is well and good. I've had my Series S from launch. Can't fault it other than the memory size. Very powerful machine. Excellent value. Yes, indeed, it was fantastic value. It was also the first inclusion of the 4K Blu-ray drive in this little old S. How about that, eh? Yeah. So let's find out how Coolcat Terri feels about the Xbox One generation. She's with us this morning. Obviously not doing her usual setup because she's been going through, I think, some kind of housing renovations or something like that, Terri. So things are going to be a little bit off for you for the next little while.
Yes, it's been a nightmare. Just to give people an idea of what I'm going through right now, my house that I'm renting needs to be updated. It has an old fuse box. They never updated it to get like a breaker system in it. Well, the fuse box finally died, so I only have power in part of the house. So like I have extension cords going from like the one outlet in the living room that works, so my refrigerator can still be in use. So like I'm roughing it right now. But I'm here, and when it comes to like the Xbox One, I really, really enjoyed the whole generation. I didn't really have any issues with it. I had gotten it. Now, at the time when it came out, my husband was in basic training for the Navy at the time, and we were writing letters back and forth because they weren't allowed to use their cell phones and stuff. So like we were he told me when to go ahead and buy the systems, and we were excited because during the 360 generation, we always had to buy 2 copies of everything. So we were excited that with the Xbox One, they had the family thing where we could still share and only buy 1 copy, which saved us a fortune, not having to buy 2 copies of every dang game. I think I ended up getting it. I usually try to wait at least 3 months after a console launches before I buy one, just because I don't want to deal with the day one editions that are usually busted. So I stay away from those. And I remember the first thing I played was Titanfall, just because it was included with the console. So that was like that was the given. And then I had a lot of fun playing Rise Son of Rome as well. It was a fantastic game.
Yeah.
And definitely one of the most underappreciated games, I think, of that generation. So definitely that one I would love to see them continue it, because I can't really remember it fully, but I think they ended it in a way to where they maybe had intended on continuing it, and then they just never did.
Are you talking about Rise?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. No, he dies.
And I forget.
But then majority of the games I tend to play anyway are usually third party. So I always had a good experience on the Xbox, because I remember like people are always complaining about how they didn't have that many exclusives, but like I never really care about exclusives because I mostly play Ubisoft anyway. So the exclusives mean nothing to me. So I always had something to play, and if I remember, I think that's also, I could be mistaken, I think that's also the generation when Assassin's Creed 4 came out. And
Black Flag,
yeah, and it was awesome. I had a lot of fun playing that on the Xbox One for sure. It was just amazing, because up until then, like, I could not get into Assassin's Creed. I hated the first 2 games, hated them. So Black Flag was like the first time that I could finally get into Assassin's Creed, and I became a fan, and I've loved it ever since then. They made a huge change in how they were doing the games from the first 2. A lot of good fun. Another game I had a lot of fun doing was Recore, which is another one people kind of got a lot of bad press, but I've thoroughly enjoyed Recore. I love it. I'm happy to hear that they're making a sequel. Hopefully they're still doing it. They don't scrap the idea. But I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Fantastic game. The Kinect was a good thing too, like everybody was saying. We didn't use the only thing we used the Kinect for was just to turn the stuff on and off easily. We didn't really, and occasionally the volume. We didn't use any of the other features. We just didn't have a need for them. But it was definitely great, and I feel that the Kinect is what really shaped how technology is now. Because Apple had Siri. Apple had Siri, but Siri was pretty limited at the time. And with Kinect, with doing all the way that they could turn things on and off, I think that's really what pushed Amazon with Alexa now, with all of the little Alexa dots and whatever other, they're like on their 4th or 5th generation. I don't even know what the new ones are called now, but like you can, everything, you can turn your whole house on and off now. And I don't think they would have even envisioned that if they hadn't been for the Kinect, kind of, breaching into that kind of territory, which is pretty cool. So it's fantastic. And I don't really know what else I can really say about the Xbox One that hasn't really been said by everybody already. But overall, I really enjoyed the console. I didn't have any really bad, like, anything with it, because like I said, I'm mostly third party.
Right.
So.
Well, with you, Terry, I'll ask you this, since we know you as basically one of our indie people on the panel. How did you feel with that transition to the Xbox 360 to the Xbox One? Because indie games and arcade games itself really found a new life, a new home, per se, on the Xbox 360. They were front row and center. They were a huge part of the summer arcade. They were still there during the Xbox One era, but however, they didn't feel like they were getting quite as much of the spotlight as they had in the previous generation. So how would you stack up the indie scene on there? There was some great ones. The first one that comes to mind on the Xbox One for me was I think it was I guess it was out on the 360 first, but I'm thinking of games like Limbo and stuff like that.
Okay, I wasn't that big into indies back then. I think I can't remember if it was 360 or Xbox One, but I know the big indie of the time was Castle Crashers. And I had a lot of fun
yeah.
playing. I had a lot of fun playing that. I honestly can't
Great
remember if
game.
that was. I can't remember if that was 360 or Xbox One, but it was amazing.
It was on the 360.
Was it? Okay, yeah, that game was fantastic, and that's kind of what started to get me into indies a little bit, was with that one, because otherwise I didn't really get into them. And then I ended up getting into streaming. That was my focus, and then PC gaming after that, and then that's where the indies really kicked in, because PC has like all of them. So Xbox didn't really shape me into an indie gamer. PC did.
Mhm.
The
Nice.
ending of that game is goofy.
but the transition though, like with like the difference in like the UI and stuff, I mean, it was weird because it's always an adjustment period, but it was user friendly. It was easy to use. It's just that, you know, when you switch to something new and the UI is different, you just kind of you have that small little period of adjustment, because it just feels a little off until it just becomes the normal. But otherwise, no, it was definitely user friendly, and I liked it, honestly. And I always look forward to when they do stuff like that, because I want to see how they're going to do things and what new features they're going to add that they didn't have before. It's always kind of like a fun little thing when they do that, which is one of the things that kind of bothers me with PlayStation, is like they change stuff, but they keep it very minimal, to where it's not like you don't have that shock factor. They're not doing a hard swap like what Nintendo and Xbox does. So like there's, you know, so it's something to look forward to. And then I think was the Xbox One, they also introduced the I forgot what they call it. Paul probably knows what it is. The thing where that you can test stuff in advance. They had that program.
And
the Insider
program I'm still in. The program I'm still in. The Insider.
Yeah, the Insider program.
Yeah,
that got introduced, if I remember, during the Xbox One generation, and that was pretty cool. I enjoyed it for a while, and then I stopped, because after a while, there was the one update with the Insider program that it kept factory resetting my Xbox every time I turned it on, and it was driving me nuts. So I had to uninstall the Insider program, because I was just done with that. It was the most annoying thing ever, having it get factory resetted. But no, I thought that was a pretty cool feature that they put that in there. You know, try things out. But yeah, no, positive experience for sure. And I know it bums me out though too, because a lot of my friends jumped ship to PlayStation because of the marketing thing, because everybody was, you know, Big Brother's watching us on the Kinect. Oh no, you know. So it's like,
that was that year.
Yeah, so I'm like, no. So like, I had to basically almost start from scratch and make all new friends on Xbox, because almost everybody got scared off by the you know, the Big Brother thing, and they jumped ship to PlayStation, and I'm like, no, it's not how to do that. It's not going to do that, and it didn't do that. It was just very, very bad marketing. But
well, you know, Paul will definitely elaborate when we get to him, because I definitely want to touch as well about, not only was it Microsoft's messaging a little bit skewed, but the media seemed to have a bit of a hate on for the Xbox. Like they were constantly trying to spin stuff in the negative light for that console, no matter what it was. Like again, the whole spying connected, they played that up to no degree. And I mean, we all remember so many articles at the start of the gen about the resolution. Oh, it doesn't have, this game is running at 720, or this game's running at 940 or whatever. We saw that a lot, and fanboys push that narrative, and then there was a little bit of everything. But anyway, I continue on with how would you rate the Xbox One compared to the 360?
I preferred the 360 in the fact that it just had a lot more games for that generation. They were really pumping them out. But when it comes to the hardware wise, the Xbox One was an amazing console that, you know, just it had a lot going for it, and it just didn't get that spotlight that it needed.
Absolutely. Great stuff. Great conversation. Go ahead,
Real quick, Newf, you brought up that the media was really down on the Xbox One. And so, you know, I got done with college and I started playing my Xbox One, and I decided to, hey, let me research some stuff on the internet, you know. And of course I go to the gaming websites, because I haven't discovered the podcasting scene, or the, you know, homemade video scene at the time on YouTube, because all I ever did was research on my computer. It brought back memories of Sega, when Sega was on its last legs, with the way the media was writing about it. And it was I definitely thought Xbox was going under based on what the media was saying. And it wasn't until I discovered the podcasting scene and the basically the YouTube fans that I came to find out that it wasn't anywhere near as bad as the media was making it seem. I mean, you want to talk about exaggeration. It was bad. And I experienced it firsthand, mainly because, I was out of the loop for so long. I was super casual back then, trying to get back into hardcore. And so having that shock of like, man, it sounds exactly like what the media was writing about Sega, because I was there when Sega's last days too. So yeah, it was not good what they were saying.
Were they on the same level of hate, or Microsoft have more haters?
For the life of me, could not find a single positive article on the internet. The more and more I tried, it was very difficult. It wasn't about 6 or 7 pages in until the Xbox centric site started coming out. Even the search metrics were not very good for Xbox at the time. It was bad. That's all I got to say. And this is why I say there's a media bias. That's my own personal crusade. Totally unrelated. Just saying.
No, I agree with you 100% on that.
Yeah, I've never seen a generation with just so much negativity around a brand, especially coming out of the sort of a lot of favoritism, a lot of popularity for the Xbox 360 and the stuff they did right. But it was just like somewhere along the line, Xbox pissed in somebody's cornflakes, and they just had this hate on it. It was like, what the heck? I don't know if it's the whole Kinect thing or the rollout. It was just like a bitter taste in people's mouths right from get go, and that sort of transcended down to fans. And of course, this is right around the dawn of when the YouTubing really started to explode and podcasts were starting to come out, and that just carried over and on into this generation, to some degree better, to some degree worse. But Paul can elaborate on that and his experience with the Xbox One and what it meant to him.
Yeah, I had one. Oh, you want me to go further than that? I mean, everybody else said everything else. Holy crap.
Well, for you, Paul, it must have been pretty cool because it reminded you of those old 80s VCRs, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. They weighed just about as much, too. Holy crap. Do not drop in. Okay. Okay. So first, let me say that Shaddai has to be the first person I ever heard say, "Yeah, Rise kind of looked like crap." What the hell are you talking about?
Right? No, Rise never looked crap. I'm talking about Titanfall.
Thank God.
No, because he said Rise.
We gotta say that guy some glasses.
He was talking. Yeah, he said Rise. I'm like, it played good, but the graphics, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Rise was really awesome. It looked really nice. It looked really nice.
I see. I guess because I wasn't in the whole social media thing, that I was only judging the Xbox by the experience I was having.
Perfect.
And so all that hate it was getting, some of it I would see and go, these people don't know what the hell they're talking about. All that, 720p, 720i, 1080p, 1080i, it became true. Even though we're not on GAD, I am going to say it turned into a dick measuring contest for who had I and who had P. I mean, really, seriously, it was that minuscule. It was like, stop it. Even back then. I do think that they went a little cheap on the manufacturing, which is why they had all these grand ideas like Snap and all that stuff, but the hardware couldn't keep up. I mean, I kind of understand why I love Snap, and I've said so in my post that I posted the other day. I would still use Snap today because I multitask every time I'm doing something. When I'm on a pod, even on this show, I've been known to be playing a game at the same time, because I can do that. Some people can't. And like Newf, you alluded to it, a lot of what everybody was bitching about in 2013, we now do on a daily basis without thinking about it.
Yep.
So I think a lot of it was that if you want to call it a press bias, a lot of that is what affected the Xbox.
Yep.
Yeah.
If it wouldn't have had all that negative bias, I think it wouldn't have got all the heat that it's gotten, and the way people remember it. And I think if it would have been a more positive experience, positive in the way of the way the press was covering it, that everybody be going, hey, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, it could have been better, but it wasn't. But now you talk about it, and I'd swear that everybody thinks the Xbox One was was a piece of crap. You know, if you listen to some podcasts and stuff, I'm like, the messaging was, and I remember this because I liked it personally. The whole the Xbox was going to become the center of your entertainment center.
Yeah.
TV, cable, gaming.
Yes.
You know what? That is not such. Yeah, that is not such a bad idea.
No.
I mean, that's actually one of the reasons I wanted to get one. I like the idea of being able to put my other boxes off to the side.
Well, think about it. Isn't that essentially what cell phones have become to us now? It's become a camera. It's become our personal computer. It's become our TV. It's become our email, our work device. And I think that's where Xbox was going, but only in a console home based form factor.
Yep. And for some reason, people weren't ready for it for whatever reason. I've seen people even now complaining that HDMI pass-through is no longer there. The one guide is no longer there. The other thing I wanted to correct, they did not force you to use the Kinect. I've never actually owned a Kinect. Even through my 360 Xbox One, they never, it was always an additional, if you have one, it'll do these really cool things. If you don't, it's no big deal. Because the main thing I used mine for, besides having it go on and say, hello, Paul, every time I walked into the room, or not me walked into, you know what I mean, wheeled into the room, scooted, crawled, levitated, but never walked.
You remember that if you had multiple accounts on your home, you could just walk in front of your Xbox and it would sign you in.
Yeah, know who you were.
So cool.
Fantastic. I missed that.
Yeah. Yep. And and the other thing I did, and you alluded to it, I on Madden, one of the versions of Madden that allowed you to do you could call audibles through the Kinect.
Isn't that when they brought, what is it called, NFL head coach, the game they brought the own headset?
Yeah. Yeah, that way you could wear a headset and you could tell it to shift left, shift right, whatever. And to me, that was really cool because, and I'm probably going to start pushing Microsoft to go back to some of these audible commands or some of because from an accessibility standpoint, if I could do that audibly, even through a headset at this point, amazing. Because then I don't have to go, okay, what was it? It's this way, and this one over here to get my backfield to move up. It'd be easy. So that's the kind of stuff I miss. I didn't have my own Xbox One until about 5 or 6 years ago, I guess. At a low point in my life, which I seem to have a lot of. A bunch of friends of mine bought me the Xbox One, the heavy, the toaster oven at the VCR. And so I, that's when I got Titanfall and stuff like that. And Destiny 2. And then for the launch of the One X, I actually won my first One X off of one of the Taco Bell things.
Right.
So I had mine actually about a week and a half before launch.
I had so much. I put myself through so much diarrhea trying to win a Taco Bell Xbox One X. I suffered for that console and never even came close.
The toilet paper companies love you, Axel.
Yeah. And then the shortage came about.
That's your fault. That's the aftermath.
You'll notice during the shortage that they didn't run the Taco Bell thing. They were like, no, that's too much.
I think that's why there was a shortage, because so many of us were trying to win. I
actually know a few people that won both the year I did and then 2 years later when they did the refreshed. Because mine is 4 years old and they won 2 years. They did another one 2 years after that. and I know people who won the second one as well. So, and I'll tell you what, going into it, I've always thought those contests, nobody ever wins those things. You know,
Same.
outside of here's your free bag of fries. You know.
Yeah.
Thanks. You know.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah. So I'm living proof now that at least Taco Bell, you can win the big prizes on their stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed my Xbox One.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you, you know, to me, I remember which game I played. You know, I could look at my museum and say, oh, that's the first game I played. Okay, cool. But to me, it all kind of blends together. It really does. I am detail oriented if I'm trying to do something, but not in the sense of this is the first time I picked up an Xbox controller and I remember it felt like, you know, now.
No.
You know, there are key moments in my gaming history that are stuck in my mind. You know, oh yeah, I remember that. That's when I threw it through the window. Yeah, I remember that time. Yeah. No, but other than that, you know, but yeah, I enjoyed it. All the games I played. And if it wasn't for the Xbox One, I wouldn't have gotten into the party chats and all that stuff and met some friends that way. And with me, I kind of did it backwards. I tried online gaming, and I've said this before. It was, you know, Call of Duty, and they predates the Xbox, but the toxicity, especially being a handicapped gamer, I was like, I'm done. Forget it. I'm gonna go play single player. You know, you know. And at the time, I didn't understand that I could have gone to Sony and been perfectly happy doing that. But then I started to make friends online, and then, you know, these are the same online friends that would later go, he really needs a little pick me up here. Let's send him you know, the Xbox One. So it kind of worked backwards. I went from online to gaming, not the other way around, as far as my social aspects go. I mean, all of you guys, I can guarantee we probably wouldn't be talking now if it wasn't for the online side compared to the gaming side.
Amen on that, Paul. Amen. Well said.
Axel may have sent me a message at some point going, you suck. You know, you know, trying to blame me, you know, if we were teamed up in Halo. You know? You know. But because he knows me now, he'll say it in his head, but he won't send me the message, you know.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right. I got my Paul Voodoo doll right over here. For everything. No, I'm just kidding.
But so yeah, I mean, the Xbox One era was always a very positive era for me.
Yes,
it got me through some very low points, and because I didn't follow the online, you know, the crap. It's what to me what it is. Because I didn't follow the expected narratives, I was able to enjoy that generation for what it was for me.
Well said. That's great. Great way to put it. Don't let someone else ruin your enjoyment, as they say.
Yeah. And it can be really hard, and especially with us, because all of us here, we all look at all the news articles, we all see all the stuff. And so we have to decide, okay, is this based on truth? Some of us do more research than others, as far as what's real and what's not.
Right.
And our backgrounds differ. Mine is more of a technical background, so when they start harping on the tech, I go, yeah, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and, you know, so many channels, like I said, they're trying to get views based on entertainment, and how they choose to bring that entertainment or how relevant it is, it's to each content creator. But yeah, I agree with you, man.
And I'm not talking down to them. They can share some really good information.
Absolutely.
But a lot of what feeds the crap, like Digital Foundry, is I don't think that's what they set out to do.
No.
But they feed the narratives, you know, or sometimes they kickstart the narratives.
Well,
not intentionally, you know,
Well, the thing is, like, when you work in the news, when you work in a real media news publication, whether that be radio or television or newsprint, right? The first thing you're taught in 101 and those things is, no matter what your personal preference is, you can't show bias. You have to keep it out. Like, you know, all these sports people that are on these, that you see on these sports panels, like ESPN, Like they might have their favorite teams, but they have to do their damnedest to be credible. They can't be like constantly, like every time, you know, a football game is on, they constantly bring up, you know, the Cowboys or the Packers, you know, because that's their teams. They have, and the same with media. And that's something that the gaming media does not get quite right, is that you can see the bias, and they do these clickbaity headlines. This is one of the things that this generation's done really well, is they go with these headlines that have nothing to do. Like, we're already seeing them about Halo. Like, what was it like somebody even wrote an article, Master Chief pisses in his outfit and don't smell very well. Like, what the like frig is that? Like okay, that's the kind of stuff you write if you're doing the Onion, okay? But if you're supposed to be a credible publication, that should not be a relevant article. That should be like some funny, like slapstick kind of junk, you know, like red versus blue kind of deal, you know, like. But this is what I'm saying, like the line between both is very blurred, and of course people, depending which narrative they follow, they jump on whichever one they prefer. So if you're a Sony guy, you automatically go with the good Sony stuff. Your Xbox is vice versa. So, but anyway, that's on another tangent.
Yep, and but you're right, and even right now with Halo, I'm constantly, even last night, I wasn't doing it during our thing because it didn't come up when we were together, but in the previous party, it came up of all the negative stuff for the XP you're getting when you're doing this, that, or that. I'm like, you know, they're working on that. They've openly said, we see what you're saying. We're gonna adjust some of this stuff,
right?
And then we're in a beta. Please remember, we're still beta.
Yeah, we're lucky to get it 2 weeks in advance or 3 weeks or whatever. Yeah,
because people are complaining like it's I can't believe it's launching like this. It's not. It hasn't. Wait, now after 2 weeks, if they still haven't fixed it.
But even still, Paul, you're an old school Halo gamer, as many of us are in this panel. Doesn't anybody remember when we played for the sheer joy of playing? When there wasn't XP and colored weapons and different armor sets. When you played Halo 2, there wasn't one of those things, and nobody gave a shit.
I know.
So what's the big deal now? Because everybody's got to pull the Call of Duty formula where you got to get like massive XP for whatever. Like, it's just, I don't know. I totally get it, but I just think it's overblown, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's all overblown, and it's to get, you know, some of it is for, like I said, to get clicks, and the other part is people just forget that, especially with things like Halo, forget that little part that it's beta. Relax.
Somebody said that in our game last night. Actually, somebody actually said that. They were like, "Well, what is this we're playing?" And we were like, "It's community game night. It's like private matches. Do you get any XP? No, you get nothing." Oh, and he kind of bitched a little bit about it, and it's like, dude, it's community game night. It's about having fun with your friends and nothing to do with XP.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, personally, do I wish at times that we could do private stuff and still get at least a little bit of XP?
That'd be cool, yeah. That would be cool.
But I understand I understand that that's not the general thing that happens. So I'm okay with that. You know, that I will probably 5 years from now still be, oh, look, Paul's still level 2. Yeah,
I think they should do that though. I think every game because like you can play against the bots, right? And I think that every game should have that option, because for the lesser skilled players that might take them an eternity to gain, like at least you can get it. It might take you longer, but at least it should be there. I think every game should. I hate this. You got to be online to get anything. It's kind of like, because not everybody can. And Halo is definitely that game that if you don't have a certain skill set, you do not do well in Halo, and that is period. Period.
It's, you know, some people that in our circle are you know, well, I'm going to be done with the battle pass in like a week. I'm like, yeah, I'm the other side of that coin. That's why I don't buy battle passes. It would take me forever.
Me too, man.
To accomplish, you know, what's in that battle pass.
Yeah. But anyway, we're off on another topic, but yeah. We'll reel it back in. So put it up, Paul. How would you rate the 360 versus the Xbox One? Where would you rate this one?
You know, as far as enjoyment and entertainment wise, I'd have to put the Xbox One above the 360, probably because of the social aspect.
Right.
Even though it kicked off with the 360, I got really into it with the One. So in my order would probably be the One, the 360, and then the OG Xbox.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Any further thoughts before I clue it up on my opinions on the Xbox One? Does anybody else have anything they wanted to add? Anything they forgot to say? Coolcat, Shaddai, Axel, Paul?
Yeah, people look at you crazy because you could talk to Cortana.
yeah,
and you had to yell
Yes.
at Rice volley all the time, like volley. You know.
Yeah.
Crazy.
but those are so cool, right?
Tomb Raider was the best when you're like, reload.
Yeah, and how many of us had people that worked around us? Are you talking to me? What are you? Are you talking to yourself? You're like, no, I'm speaking to Connect. It happened to me all the time. My wife would come out of the room.
Yeah.
Are
I'm
you
looking
asking
for
me
my-
something? No, I'm speaking to Connect. You know,
I'm trying to look for Milo, but I can't find it.
or have you
You know-
guys had the dreaded
Wait, real
experience? where
quick,
you're in the
I want to
middle-
point out that,
yeah.
if you bring up a point, how many wives, when they were arguing with their husband and the husband's playing the game, wife would just go, Xbox off, and the husband
Oh
would
my
just-
God, I've done a lot. Oh my God. Because I don't know how many times somebody in my house too would say something like turn off the lights and the Xbox would get it mixed up and all of a sudden everything shut down. You're, what the frig? Right? Because the Kinect did not always understand exactly what you said sometimes. It was pretty funny.
The Connect,
you know.
if you would voice chat through the Connect, you could adjust it knew your voice and it would filter out all the background noise,
Yeah.
all of it completely. So me and my friends would play like that. And one time we decided to talk to my friend's Alexa or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, hey, Alexa, order socks. Hey, and like you could just hear Alexa in the background, bing, ordering socks. Bing. And we're like, order that, order baby stuff, play baby making music. All that. We were always messing with that stupid Alexa to the point where they had to turn it off before they gamed with us. And my friend got baby ads, like newborn
Oh,
baby
my
ads on Amazon for 2 years because of us.
Oh shit.
it was just the crazy moments that came about. It was
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
I used to prank my husband because they had like the Xbox Smart Glass app or whatever.
Mhm.
So I'd sit on the other side of the house with the app, and then I would flip on, like he'd be playing a game, and then I'll turn on like YouTube on, and then he'd be watching YouTube, and then I would flip it to a different app, and then he'd be sitting there yelling at it to stop doing it, to put the other thing on, and so then they would put it on, and then I would click the button and flip it back, and he'd be like, "What's wrong with this thing?" I'm like, "I don't know. Did you break it?" And then he's like, "It won't stay. It won't stay." I'm like, "I don't know. Maybe you broke it." It was just hilarious. It was just
I did
hilarious.
that one time when I was at work. I did that to one person, like, hey babe, something is wrong with your egg, but it keeps turning off. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I was just actually using my phone for that. That was funny.
Well, I'm pretty sure anybody who did any amount of watching porn through the Xbox One probably were scared to death of Kinect. Are they watching me? Did Microsoft record all that?
Not for nothing. Jokes aside, when they actually announced the camera for both systems, that was one of the worst things that ever happened, because they didn't have any limits and people did some crazy things during that era of the camera. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Uno
Uno
had the camera. They had to take the camera feature off of Uno because people be sitting there in the nude.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it happens to a lot of people.
It's
Yeah.
a thing, yeah.
Oh yeah.
You see big old dong hanging in front of you. Like, what the heck, man?
You're telling me I missed out on playing naked Uno?
You did.
Damn it.
That would have been your military days. Yeah.
I know. Well, back then I was much thinner, man. I would have played naked Uno.
Oh man! And speaking of porn and crazy like names, we got Mandingo McThickens in the chat today. Definitely the best name that have graced a Good Morning Xbox. Sounds like he should be watching Gaming After Dark. He comes in with $5 in the super chat. Good morning, panel. Black Friday was kind to me. I picked up the LG C1 OLED 83-inch for the Series X. Hot damn. Man, that picture. Erection Glorious Gaming. Boy. Well, thank you, McThickens, for that fantastic, funny comment. And glad you're an 83-inch OLED. Damn, that set you back some coin. Holy mackerel. Woo! Even the smaller ones are still expensive.
Yeah, I think for Black Friday, the 65-inch was like around $1,500 to $2,000, depending on where you were at. So an 83-inch, holy crap.
Yeah, damn. Let's catch up with the chat real quick because my good friend Iceman, who was also part of Community Game Night last night and is a phenomenal guy to play games with, is here as well. Caper Grant's still with us. Caper's a great guy to play games with as well. Lots of Community Game Night people in the chat. Stitch669, Crispy Rambo is hanging out with us as well. We got the Exalted One, Jago Kukin, hanging out with us. What's going on? Doggy Dog still hanging out with us as well. Fastback still here. Pure Flack Monkey, he was in that game night last night. Tony Grasso, what's going on, brother? How are you? Yeah, so caught up with General Spartan. How's it going? Apex is here as well. We got Nick's in the house. Sonic Echo X, what's happening? And Maddie Burns is here with us as well. Good to see you, Maddie. The Jenna here as well. Jenna kicking my butt last night in Community Game Night. Good stuff, guys. A lot of fun. That's what Community Game Nights are all about. If you're not having fun, then we're not doing something right. Again, we keep try to keep the negativity aside, and everybody just has a great time. So there we go. But anyway, I'll try to end it off, and I'll try to keep this very quick as I can because I know we still got the indie spotlight. I'm going to have to run the video for Terry this morning, but we're going to get to that in just a moment, and then we'll talk about the Xbox Series generation, which kind of is in its infancy, so we shouldn't be there all day on that one. But my recollection of the Xbox One. Well, first of all, I was super hyped. I mean, obviously for the Xbox One coming off of the 360 and the amazing experiences we had over there. But yes, we all remember how it started. It certainly started a lot worse than it ended. And that was, again, the mixed messaging and perhaps, again, Microsoft just being a little bit forward thinking at the time, a little ahead of its game. And people just weren't ready. I have to admit, I was one of those people that wasn't ready. The last thing, you guys know me and how hard set I am on physical media and how, they were coming in. It's good to, DRM and you can't, lend your games out and all that kind of stuff. We all remember how Sony took that first crack at them with, I think it was Adam Boyes and Shuhei Yoshida, holding that game. Remember that? This is how you share games on PlayStation. Hands it over to them. We all remember that infamous
the biggest
moment.
corporate backhand I've ever seen.
Yeah, we remember that quite well. The shoe's been on the other foot for the last while, though, however. We seem to have lost Cerebral Paul. Hopefully he jumps back here in just a moment. But anyway, like I said, I have fond memories of the launch outside of the negativity and that stuff. I mean, like I said, we talked about the Kinect. It was amazing. I mean, I remember a lot of people coming over and they were how impressed they were with, hey, I can turn my console on by just saying, turn it on, turn it off. I could move through apps and I could wave through the dashboard with my hand and all these little things. And for the average person who wasn't used to that, they're like, wow, this is some next level stuff. We take it for granted today because Alexa does a lot of that stuff and Apple's been copying it. But the funny thing is when Apple does something like that, they're like, oh, Apple on the cutting edge. They're so cool. They're the first to do this. And you're like, no, buddy, Microsoft has beat you there like 3 or 4 years ago. You guys are just, again, the poster child of the generation. You get love for everything and Xbox gets hate for everything. So, but anyway, I do digress. So, that was cool. I mean, the dashboard, I loved it, but like Terry said, there's always an adjustment phase. At first, you're kind of like, wow, what the heck is going on? You had to find everything. And it was a big adjustment because we went from, the basic left to right tiles and all that stuff. But of course, people don't realize as well that the Xbox original dashboard with the One was designed largely due to the Kinect. So it was supposed to be more of a voice activated thing. Well, that's what they wanted people to do was talk to their Xbox and say, go to my games and apps, go to my settings, et cetera, et cetera. And you wouldn't have to do any of this finding stuff. You just say what you want it, and there you go. Like I said, over time, it definitely got smoother and better. We saw how originally, too, the Xbox was, the dashboard definitely chugged the system down a little bit. It was a bit slow at times. We also remember, like I said, the resolution debate, resolution gate, we'll call it, how every time an Xbox game came out running a pixel short of the PlayStation 4 version, it got trashed for everything. But negative media aside, we got to focus on what it did well. I mean, one, it had the best version of already what I think is one of the best controllers ever designed. I mean, the Xbox One controller is just amazing. From the initial inauguration down to its iterations past. They also remember they came out with the Design Lab, came out during the Xbox One generation. When ever could you actually create your own controller, put your own gamer tag on, and really feel like that personalization, that connection? Paul alluded to it as well. The community really came into its own. I mean, we already had Xbox Live parties on the 360, but it was really the Xbox One generation that pushed it to a new level. They had some hiccups along the way, But 16 people in a party and being able to do multiple things at one time through the Xbox One, starting to feel a little bit more like the PC experience that a lot of people have had. So that was amazing. The social media aspect, the integration with social media apps and other things as well. The one thing PlayStation did right out of the box was the share button. Xbox has it now, but they didn't. So it was a little bit more complicated. But being able to record stuff like your gameplay clips and photo captures in HD with in high definition, and then eventually with HDR and being able to share that. You got to look at all that aspects. I mean, it comes down to the most important aspect of games. They had an incredible launch. This is the sad part. One of the best launches I can recall. I mean, outside of not having Halo at a launch, but I mean, they had Forza 5. We all remember how amazing that game looked at the start. What a great game. Obviously, it definitely had a lot less content than number 4, but it was a step up graphically where you're just like, wow, we're really stepping into the era now where graphics are coming into that photorealistic age. We had Rise, Son of Rome, to this day still one of the best looking games on any platform, regardless of the power or lack thereof. Amazing that it ran on the Xbox One and did so well. And that was also supposed to be a Kinect game that came out at the end of the 360 era, I think, or probably supposed to be a launch, but it's supposed to be based on Kinect, which would kind of explain some of that the quick time play mechanic of the fighting, which wasn't really quick time like people think it is. It wasn't press a button, have so many seconds. It was just the quick time in that game was just to change how your combos went. So you either hit the combo right by hitting it, but it wasn't your traditional quick time. But of course, people made stuff about that. A lot of games have that same mechanic. They just don't get bashed for it. But Rise, Son of Rome, we had Dead Rising 3. Like that set a precedent. That game was amazing. Still my favorite Dead Rising of the franchise. Forza. It list goes on. We saw some incredible new IPs that came out. Stuff from Remedy, like Quantum Break. We saw Recore come out, which was a phenomenal game, as Terry alluded to. Deserves a sequel. I think they had all the right principles there. It just didn't get the love that it needed. Perhaps it felt a little bit undercooked. We saw Insomniac make its first ever Xbox game that generation with Sunset Overdrive, a game that people say, well, deserves a sequel, and it may get one, but it will not be on the Xbox as they now belong to Sony exclusively. And some people say that was a big misstep on Xbox's part not to acquire Insomniac when essentially there was that opportunity, that window there, and now they are making some of the biggest PlayStation games on the planet right now. So Microsoft's lost Sony's game, but either which way, we did get one gem from those guys for the Xbox. There's a lot of great things like you could say about that generation. I loved it. I guess the difference is during the Xbox 360 generation, we saw a lot more games, certainly a lot more sequels to popular games, whereas on the Xbox One, they kind of stagnated. Unless you were Assassin's Creed or Call of Duty, there wasn't a lot of sequels. I mean, the fact that we saw, pretty much one Halo game during the entire Xbox One generation kind of speaks volumes. Just Halo 5. True.
My favorite Halo game of the generation was Halo Wars 2.
Well, Halo Wars. All right, Halo Wars 2, yes. But it's, in a flagship title sense.
Yeah.
Halo 5. And that was another misstep. Like, franchises that notoriously carried the 360 kind of fell back a little bit. We saw 2 Gears of War games come out on the Xbox. Well, 3 Gears of War, if you call Gears of War Tactics, but that came out this generation. Yeah, it came out on that one too. But flagship games, Gears 4, Gears 5, and those games. Well, Gears 4 essentially did take a little bit of a step back by many standards, and then it kind of regained a bit of its form during number 5. But we saw Halo that came out with this huge marketing and then sort of missed the mark a little bit. Story is a little convoluted. Of course, Master Chief wasn't in the game a whole lot, and there was that debacle. And, and that's why this game is under some scrutiny and under the microscope like no other Halo game before it, with Halo Infinite, because I guess if Halo 5 had to come out and really raise the bar, but it didn't, it kind of fell below the bar and put a lot of, can 343 deliver? Can they make a Halo game as great as their predecessor in Bungie? That sort of thing. But we saw a lot of missteps in the generation. We saw how Bungie left Microsoft, at the start of that one and went over to Activision to publish Destiny. It's kind of funny because they basically didn't want to do space shooters. They kind of got tired of the Halo, but what did they really do? They basically went out and made Halo in Destiny, and for all intents and purposes, it kind of was. It just had a different world, and it was more of a MMO style of a thing, or, that narrative kind of thing, like an online constant game only. We saw some great IPs come out during the Xbox One, like Titanfall was certainly one of them. Titanfall definitely was a good hit at the start. It was a true Xbox One exclusive. It never did come out on any other platform. And we saw Titanfall 2, which unfortunately came out squashed between Battlefield that year, I think, and Call of Duty, and kind of got lost by the wayside. It's still one of people's favorite games of the generation, and one of the best story we've seen in a shooter for a long time. But hopefully it gets a sequel. That remains to be seen. There is some rumors that it will, but right now it seems like all in on Apex Legends. But that was another thing we saw really come to fruition during this generation. It did not really exist that much. I'm not saying it didn't, but it certainly was not prominent, is that the free-to-play generation really came into form during the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, where you saw games like Rocket League and obviously Fortnite and the Battle Royale format. That was not there during the 360. That came into its own there with that, and now it's its own phenomenon. So just kind of wrapping it up, there was a lot of things Xbox did right. There was a lot of things it did wrong. Thank God the hardware side of things was not one of them. There wasn't near as much failure rates in Xbox Ones. People had the odd issue here and there, but overall, I mean, most people had them and they ran well. And speaking of contests, Paul, you may have heard this story before, but you won your Series X through, the Xbox One X. You won it through the Taco Bell promotion. I won the original Xbox One, the one that came with Connect and Forza. I won it through the Pepsi Doritos contest up here in Canada. Is you had to buy the bag of chips and a drink, and if you bought, I think, them both together, you got extra codes. I ended up redeeming about 7 or 8 codes on one particular day, and I'd say about a week later, I got a call from Xbox at work that I had won the Xbox One. And that year was kind of funny because I was in a strapped cash position, and I was like, man, I want one right now, but I don't have enough money to get one. And boom, I got it. And I remember it specifically. It was delivered to me on Boxing Day, which is December 26th. The first time I got to play it was December 28th. And it was Forza 5 was the first game on it. But I was happy, impressed. And like I said, I always thought those contests were a load of crap. It's like, whoever wins it, I never hear anybody winning anything in these things. But apparently I did. So that was a really cool story.
You thought it was a load of crap, but at the same time, you went for the pre-diabetic.
So, cute little story to that. I mean, I really love that generation. I mean, the 360 just stood out because I guess the type of games, but really when you look at it, Xbox One did a lot of things. And one of the things they did right, thank God, one thing misstep from the competitors, the back compatibility. People don't give that enough credit, but that was a huge boom. A lot of people that did not own an Xbox One played it down. Like, who needs it? Nobody wants to play old games. We heard that argument, right? But boy, isn't it sure nice when you boot up
last year? We heard that last year.
And
isn't it really nice
to this day?
Yeah. But isn't it great right now? For example, you can boot up your Series X or Series S, and you can still play not only your Xbox One titles, but go back and play Xbox original titles and Xbox 360 games. And, we all do like to go back and play old games once in a while. Heck, on community game night, we like to go back and play them. And it sure is nice to know that they're still accessible. And you don't need to have 4 different consoles hooked up to your TV at once to play them. And they're not charging you extra a lot of the times. Like I said, I've still got some discs here, and I can pop them in and they play. And just huge boost to Microsoft on what they call gaming preservation, where every other company is nickel and diming you to pieces for their old nostalgia experiences. Nintendo especially. Xbox is more like, here, man, have at her. We're not going to charge you extra.
What's the one thing you hear everybody that's on a podcast talk about? You know what they talk about? Old games. Everybody loves old games. I don't see why this narrative came. I don't see where it came from. I don't see how it makes sense.
It's funny too, because they'll go and they'll say, no one wants to play those old games. But what are we in right now? We're literally in the generation of remakes.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Why do remakes sell? People are still playing an old game, are they not? With what? Maybe extra resolution or maybe some new textures?
Remember,
or they port them and then say it's a new game because it's on the newer generation. That instantly makes it brand new. Okay.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. She beat me to it. It's new. It's $70. It looks better.
Gaming should not be treated as a different medium. If you look at movies and music, people are still listening to music from the 60s or 70s or 80s, and people still watch movies from the 80s or whatever decade they grew up in, and they're still there. Sure, perhaps some of those movies, just like games, are not as good as we remember them as kids, but the fact that you can still access them and you don't need all extra hardware and you don't have to pay extra again for it is huge. And gaming should be treated no differently.
And
That's
those
the
other
thing.
industries also do what gaming does. They remaster audio tracks. They remaster they clean up the versions of movies so they look better. So so people want to watch them. So yeah, they're exactly the same in that
See?
sense.
And like our friend Mike Mullis just said, I'm freaking streaming Cameo right now. That FPS boost makes it a new game. And if you see a lot of these games now on Xbox, they're not just, oh, I can play them in my console. You go back and play them now, they actually get resolution boost and frame boost and practically are almost like playing a game for the first time. Have you ever gone back and played some of these 360 games on your Xbox One and go, holy crap, this game looks a lot better? Like, holy man.
Hey, Newf, not too long ago, I think it was like 2 days ago, I was actually streaming Mini Ninja, which it reminds me of Coolcat Terri.
Yeah,
when I actually saw it, and I
love that game.
I screenshot it, and all of a sudden I saw on my monitor that it was saying 4K 60, and I'm like, wait a minute, they actually boost this game up, and it looks way better. It is really, they actually treat the old games correctly, and that's something that I really, really appreciated for the Xbox team to actually treat the old games like that. I actually do appreciate that.
Absolutely. So like I said, Microsoft did a lot of things right, and we also talk about the iterations. The Xbox One S, which was a phenomenal piece of hardware. They corrected a lot of the wrongs with the Xbox One. First of all, getting rid of the VCR size, adding a 4K Blu-ray, which it's a competitor who has Blu-ray patents did not even include when they went to the Pro, which was one of the most dumbfounding things I ever saw. It's like, so Xbox is doing 4K Blu-ray before Sony. That's kind of weird. You got it now, but it's kind of like, how does Xbox beat Sony on 4K Blu-ray into their player? That's just weird. But but anyway, and then of course we had the amazing Xbox One X, which the downside of that is I don't think that console ever will see or reach its full potential. I think we saw glimpses of it, but I think that ship has sailed. It came out a little bit too late. We're already into the Series S and X, but I think that Xbox One X, if it carried on a little bit longer, if we still had a few more years in the pipe, I think we would have seen some stuff really stretch that console to new limits and expectations. I really think.
Let me say something real quick because you made me think of something with the Blu-ray comments. I think one of the reasons Xbox did it before Sony is at that point, Xbox was willing to take more of a loss on the console sales. True. They were willing to put more money into the hardware and take a loss on the front end, and then make it up later in other revenue sources. And I think that's continuing even now. Yeah. That we, at least initially they were taking a loss on the hardware for the Series X as well. True. So I think they're more willing to do that. To get the machines out there, to get people into the ecosystem.
It's called enticement, right?
I also think it's like what you mentioned earlier. It's because Xbox One was marketed as the all-in-one entertainment console for the home. So it would make sense that they would want to have movies, whereas PlayStation was still hard focused on just being a game console.
Absolutely.
For some people will say that's what it's meant for, to be console for gaming, not for entertainment.
Well, those people need to stop gatekeeping and just do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I had an interesting discussion last night during my yesterday during my Mass Effect stream about the gatekeeping again on difficulties in games. And again, as that guy that loves Dark Souls and believes that it should not have it shouldn't stay true to it and should never give anybody else an extra option. And then I said, well, I'm going to politely agree to disagree. I said, I think you're keeping millions of players away from finishing it. And even those who like those franchises and buy them, how many, what's the uncompletion rate on those games? I'd like to know, because I got a funny feeling that the people that actually beat them all the way to the end are far less than the people that just buy them, get a level or two in and go, yeah, I'm done. I could be wrong, but I have a feeling that's pretty high.
You can look at the percentage of people who get those trophies and stuff. I'm pretty sure it's less than half the people even finish those games.
Exactly. And I think that's a crime for any game. If you love a game and you love it and you just don't want to see it through to the ending, like I think you're not only it's a crime to yourself, but it's also a crime to those developers that work so hard to build these things and nobody ever sees half of their finished work because again, you can't get there.
Or some of them are
On
lame.
that message, I tried Mortal Shell the other day.
Yeah.
I about threw my controller through the window. I swear to God.
Paul's like, this game is horrible, Shell.
I'm like
shit.
20 minutes in, I was ready to like destroy my Series X. I'm like, I am gonna kill somebody. I swear to. It was like, nope. I don't know why.
Oh, so that
think
game's
this is
another
fun,
Dark
'cause
Souls hard kind of game, right?
Oh yeah, very much so.
Yeah, and it's on Game Pass right now too. I was almost tempted, like, should I try it? And I'm like, I don't know. Am I going to waste my time just downloading this for nothing? But anyway, and I'll just end up by saying, like, it's too bad that the 360 spent part of that generation making up for the Red Rings of Death. And then, of course, the Xbox One generation spent the latter half trying to win back fans that more or less left them because of the DRM issues, the launch issues, and of course the hardware, constantly being made fun of because you had the weaker hardware and stuff like that. So what was really, I mean, that to me personally, whether people want to admit it or not, but that really was what the Xbox One X more or less was to me, was Microsoft's way of saying, we are committed to fixing our wrongs and making it right. We're going to give you a piece of hardware that you fans have basically asked us for since 2013, but never got. This should have been the Xbox One we delivered then. But of course, when technology changes and prices go down, I mean, can you imagine how much an Xbox One X would have costed Microsoft back in 2013? Would have been astronomical. And that's all. And that's part of it. Right?
Yet.
Yeah, the tech wasn't even out. And, and again, it's prices and it's all coming in under a certain window. And we hear that all the time. If you come out and your console is way overpriced, it's not going to sell. Price is more paramount than anything these days. More important than power, more important than outside of the games. That's your next big thing is price. Because if you don't come out priced right, we saw how that extra $100 on the Xbox One versus PlayStation 4 was a massive blow. Because you had to convince people, why is it worth $100 more? Because they have a Kinect, but people are like, well, what's the Kinect? Why should I buy this? Why do I need it? Why can't it be optional? Again, remember they made it optional like about a year or so
to
later.
Play Uno naked.
There were a lot of options and features that the Xbox One had years before the PlayStation 4 got.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm an Xbox gamer. I feel that you get access to tech, to cool features, little things sooner than everybody else.
That is true. That is actually true.
Yeah, there you go. But anyway, I'm just going to end off and saying, how would I rate the Xbox One? I will say I will give it a solid 7 overall. I don't think it was quite as prominent or certainly resonated with me the same way that the Xbox 360 did. But it did have some amazing games and some things that did really, really well. I think I already alluded to those. A lot of it on the tech aspect of coming further along or graphics hitting a plateau and everything else. But they had a few missteps and they're certainly being corrected as we see that as we go into the next gen. And wow. Well, this show is flying along. It's already 8:43 my time. We haven't even got to Terry's segment. We're going to do that right now. So it's Coolcat Terri with our indie spotlight of the week. So I'm going to add this to the screen here. Sorry, Terry, just bear with me here.
It's all good.
That's as you.
We're trying to make things work with what we got. It's all good.
Share screen. Here we go. So hopefully you can see it here now.
Paint me a picture with the words.
Is it on the screen?
I see nothing.
You see nothing?
Tell your cat not to eat cable. So you
no,
could
I see still our I just see our
okay,
regular
hang on.
files.
Yes.
So
Share is it the entire screen or the window? The entire screen. Here. Oh.
just
Why
turn
is
on
it
your
not
camera and
working?
do shadow puppets. Just turn on your
It's not letting me share it now. What the heck's going on here?
You know what? She could use like when you're trying to pose a profile picture on the screen, just screenshot
everybody watching. Yeah, close your eyes, and Terry's gonna do a descriptive.
Right now, I'm watching. I know, right? Right now, the music is going on.
The screen fades from black into what looks like a medieval city.
Okay, let's see here. The share thing is not working here all of a sudden. What the heck is going on? Hang on, let me try this one more time.
Storytelling with Terry.
Share.
First fully accessible
screen.
podcast now. There you go.
Okay. It's like
So
totally
don't forget to
blanked
share
out.
system audio.
It's blanked out here. It doesn't even let me click on it. What the hell?
I'm playing
Terry
Uno
will be
right
back
now,
next
but without
week.
camera.
Window. Yeah, no, it's not even letting me click on it to share it. I can't share something if I can't click on it. What the heck? Do sound only. Yeah, that sound only. Do your imagination.
Yeah, something interrupting the system won't let you pick it. For
Yeah,
some reason.
something.
If you
will not let me
want,
pick it.
send the link to like Axel or someone and see if they can get it.
Sure,
to pop up.
I'll Lex. I'm going to send you over the link and see if you can share it out. If not, we can always just leave this indie spotlight till the next show. But sorry for the technical goof bag here. But yeah, let's let me just see where it is. I'm going to grab you the link, Axel.
Okay, yeah, I'm ready.
Hang on,
So plan B, now we're going to talk about Halo for the next hour and a half. You ready, Terry?
I'm leaving.
All right, let me just go. I'm going to put it in the private
Sorry,
chat.
guys, there's stuff going on in my house. I got to go.
Axel, see, all right, there, Axel, there's the link. Send it in the private chat. See if you can able to share it, and then I'll bring it up on the screen for you.
In the news.
I don't know why I couldn't share it.
Second here.
Working the other day, but
just in case, as we figured out the problem.
Yeah.
But during that era, also remember they actually show for the first time cloud computing.
Technology.
Here we go, guys. Here it is. Coolcat Terri, take it away. I guess hang on. Let's pause it first, Axel. She gives us a description.
All right, everybody. So I want you guys to check out this game that I messed with months ago, and this one's really cool. So this is for anybody who likes your action RPG dungeon crawling type game. This is PC only, but it's really, really cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you play the trailer real quick, and then I'll dive in deeper.
Go ahead, Axel.
Restart it, Axel. There you go. Thank you.
I just love the artwork in some of these games. Is that kid wearing pajamas? Boners!
It is so fast-paced that I can't even keep up.
Hey, look, he's got blue balls.
Some of the graphic designers take me back to the old Ultima days of some of the later Ultima games.
The Slowmancer.
All right, so this game, like I said, it's a dungeon crawler. It's got a lot of chaos happening there. So if you just like a really good hack and slash, kind of game, you're gonna have a lot of fun with this one. You play as a knight, a huntress, or the mage. It's not just you pick one and that's what you're stuck with. Like most games, that's when you get to play all three. So you just keep flip flopping as you go, and using what works best in the situation that you're in. There's over 120 different weapons in the game that you can get, so we got a lot of good loot, and it's a lot of good fun. I highly recommend it. It's like I said, it's PC only. It retails for $15, but it's the holiday season, so Steam's doing all the sales, so you could probably get a good deal on it. I haven't been able to boot it up to see if it's on sale or not, but I would assume so because like everything's on sale on Steam this time of year. Mm-hmm. So go ahead, check it out. A lot of fun, and then it has a great soundtrack that they also sell. So if you like to, have all that good fun stuff, check that out as well. And the nice little thing about this game that makes it extra special is it was made by a team of 3 people. Wow. you had your music composer, you had the guy who did the artwork, and then you had the guy who did all of the code. So it was, they kept it simple, and it's very well done for for the amount of people that were working on it. So it's a good game. Check it out.
Absolutely. By the way, Terry, remember when you
do you get to kill any other enemies than skeletons?
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. That's just what they showed for the trailer.
By the way, Terry, remember when you highlighted the game Bound by Flame?
Yes.
Well, that game right now is on the Xbox. It's backwards compatible, and it's on sale right now, I think, through the Games of Gold, or perhaps it's on the Black Friday sale, but it's $1.99 Canadian.
Oh wow.
Get it! That game is so fun.
Yeah. I only thought it came out for the PlayStation, but apparently it's on the Xbox 360 too. So there you go, guys. She highlighted that one a few months back, and I had a chance to pick it up on my PlayStation at the time. So, but there you go. You can get it for Xbox now. So good stuff. All right, that was the Indie Spotlight. Does anybody else have any features or segments you'd like to drop during the show before we do our last segment? And we won't talk about the Xbox Series consoles too much because, again, we're only basically a year in. What is there to say? But anybody? Axel?
Yeah,
I
have
about cloud?
The cloud, the beautiful cloud. Hey, in case you don't have an Xbox Series console, if you have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, they have launched game streaming onto the Xbox One, and you can stream games that are exclusive to the Series console, such as the Medium on it. It works pretty good. I played it. It's very responsive. I even played a fast game on it. It seems to work better on the console than it does on essentially anything else that I have. It works better than on the phone. It works better than on my PC. That dedicated console seems to work. So yeah, it only works with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscribers. So if you got regular Xbox Game Pass, sorry, you don't get streaming. But yeah, if you also don't want to wait for downloads, streaming is a way to play your games on your actual console before you get into it. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It worked really well, responsive, no failure. It was really good. And I played Hades on it just because I know it's a fast-paced game.
Yeah.
So I played Hades on it, and I made it further than I've ever made it before via streaming. So it was really good. Give it a shot, guys.
Bro, I got a chance to play Halo Infinite on it when I was out in Niagara Falls with my controller, and I couldn't believe it. I was impressed. I had very little issues at all. The only issue I personally had was playing on like a 3.5, 4-inch cell phone screen, which made it pretty hard to aim at somebody. It's like, wow, you think they're microscopic sometimes on your big screen TV? Like, play it on a phone. It's like, yeah, I can't do it. I'm just all over the place. But it looked great.
I actually found out on Halo Infinite, a lot of the pros. So I'm watching the Halo Championship series a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the pros changed the enemy outline from red to yellow, and it stands out a lot more.
Yeah, I did.
A lot more.
That's something that came up during the flight. That if you change the enemy to yellow, and you can change. There's a color pink that makes it stand out a lot as well for the friendly units or whatever, because the red and blue kind of blend into stuff. So yeah. That's one of the first things we tell a lot of people, even if they're not sight impaired, if they really want to help their ability to see the units, change those colors.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And
you can find those in the accessibility settings as well as the regular settings somewhere, because there are a lot of settings in that game.
Yeah, a whole lot. So many. Real quick, the Gina, yes, you are correct. The cloud gaming has 720p streaming. It does not have 1080p, so it is not going to be HD as we call it. So that is the one downside, but trust me, it's a minimal downside based on what you're getting.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive tech.
And let me say too, I did that with Forza. What you did with Hades and with I did it with Forza. It was amazing. I mean, and I purposely uninstalled it from my PC, so when I was streaming it from the cloud, I was getting the cloud experience. Yeah, I could notice it a little bit of a feel difference, but not so much to make it unplayable at all.
Yeah. Right.
So
it's gotten a lot
great
better.
Option. Yeah.
You only need a 15 megabit down connection to play it. By the way, guys, it will work with 50 megabits. So if you're slower than that, it probably will not work.
Yeah, if you're slower than that,
it's probably because your tin can string needs to be tightened. Okay, I mean,
you can check your Xbox emails.
You're gonna be playing the text version of Halo Infinite. You see a bad guy. Do you use your shotgun or your battle rifle?
Shoot how many times? 3, 4?
Oh, you rolled a 1. Sorry, you got bested.
Oh man!
Oh my god! You've been up by a group for us old school gamers who know what that means. But
okay, All right, guys. So we're gonna close down this particular show by touching on the current generation, which is the Xbox Series S/X. Like I said, we're only about a year in. It's already been a pretty impressive start, I would say. And I'm just gonna go right out and say it. I'd say the only downside to the start has been the fact that most people are still having massive difficulties grabbing a Series X. We're seeing people just start to pick up some recently, including Jago Kukin is in the chat, who finally managed to get his hands on one. I was lucky to get on the ground floor day one, got mine, all that stuff, my Series X. Why would I not choose the S? Well, you guys know me. I have to have a disk drive or I'm not interested. So the S was not even a contemplation for me. I don't have kids, so I didn't need a second console for any rooms. If I did, perhaps that would be another option. But anyway, let's talk about this generation and what's impressed you so far. We will head over back to Shaddai live from Cell Block 22. Shaddai, I love the handbag behind your head too, by the way.
Oh, thank you. There's a Call of Duty from, I think I got it from GameStop using my points.
Oh.
I thought maybe your prison husband got that for you. He got you
Well, what did you trade for it, Shaddai? What did you trade?
Hey.
So go ahead, Shaddai. Tell us what you think about the Series S, Series X. What have been your favorite games so far? And what do you think Xbox needs to continue to do to be successful this gen?
Actually, the way I got it, it was planned. We were
Nice.
planning between.
Nerf.
It was between Stitch and I, which he's on chat. We were always trying to call each other and say, well, it's going to be available on GameStop. It's going to be available on Amazon. So we were like at it really hard until he actually drove to GameStop and he was like, hey, Shaddai, it's already open at Amazon. Hurry up. So I'm like clicking hard, like go to the cart so I could buy it. And I actually managed to get one right off the bat. And I really got it. It was huge. It was awesome. The presentation was awesome. I never expected that. It was really nice. My impressions to it, one, I never expected it was going to be that heavy, like really, really heavy. It was, you don't need to be very flashy for a console, and it was pretty much simple, really nice, very, very quiet, more quieter than Axel's fridge. So it's way quieter. Very powerful. Right now, I don't know what to expect for, let's say, Halo. And we already seen the reaction of people when it comes to Forza 5. Like I said, I'm not a racing person, but from what I could see and read, it's very impressive. But I don't want right now. It's like I want to see what Halo Infinite is gonna look like using, like everybody be talking about, 12 teraflop. What are they gonna do with it? To be that powerful of a console. I want to see what Halo Infinite is gonna look like. Hellblade. What they're gonna be doing with the 23 studios with their games. Are they gonna utilize to the max the power of the console? That's something that I'm actually looking forward from now into the future before we get another, mid refresh.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I'm liking it. I'm liking everything, even though it took a while for Xbox to release their first party studios, but we at least saw what is it capable of. For example, flight sim using the cloud computation, whatever happened from whatever they utilize to run on the PC, it actually run really good on the console, which is really surprising. That type of computation for the system. Right now, I'm actually playing my backlog. Right now, I'm actually playing Pillars of Eternity before I start touching something, for the system. But what am I gonna say for the first, for the first year? Very impressive. That's the only thing that I can say. It's very impressive what this little console is bringing to the table.
Very impressive indeed.
I'm very, very impressed. It's just I can't, I can't wait what is gonna bring later on. That's something right now. What is gonna bring later on? The management, Xbox from the Xbox One VCR and all that to now is night and day. Is really, really night and day. Or from the Scorpio edition to now is night and day. It just I can't wait for it. And, what are they gonna bring? That's my take.
Nice. There you go. Axel, Xbox Series consoles. What's your takes thus far? About a year in.
How has there ever been a more perfect console in existence? I don't think so. The Xbox Series X. So I got it day one at GameStop. It's no secret. I camped out. It was awesome with a bunch of other Xbox dudes and girls. And we all just got our consoles day one. We were very excited. We played, somebody brought a TV with an old Xbox, all that good stuff. So I got mine day one and I was very excited. The setup on day one wasn't as smooth as it is today. I've since upgraded to my Halo Infinite version, but the experience on the Xbox One has been nothing less than phenomenal. Like the integration of Game Pass into it has made it even better for a Game Pass subscriber and a believer of Game Pass, right? The console itself, it has all these upgrades and all these other things to it, but really what you're looking for is Xbox only games, and really are Series X games that use the Series X to really tell the story. And the medium, I'm not really a horror guy to begin with, so I wasn't that impressed with the medium as a game, just because it's just not my genre. But when Flight Simulator, so I've been playing Flight Simulator on my PC a lot. As a matter of fact, I have 12 days of flying on my PC alone on Flight Simulator. And that's flight hours. So when it came to the Xbox and it could run it and it looked better than it did on my PC, that was a sight to see. Now it's my favorite way to play Flight Simulator is on my Xbox because it just looks better and more phenomenal, less stuttering, less jittering. If you know anything about Flight Simulator, you know that when you fly into a big city at nighttime, each one of those little lights you see is an individual light source that is just taxing on any system. And the Xbox the Xbox Series X just handles it like it doesn't even exist. It is a phenomenal system. Quick resume is probably the feature of the generation. It's not perfect, no, especially if you got online games. You start running into matchmaking problems. But if you're not playing online with friends, quick resume is just, you're right back where you left off. And I kind of find it odd that Xbox was the last one to the party, because I know that PlayStation did suspend and so did Nintendo. They suspended their games. But the fact that you can quick resume, I think I've counted 7 or 8 games that I can quick resume at once. That's
try 15 or 20 because it'll stack them. It will stack them.
And it does it even if the power is off. That's impressive, That's the best parts of the Xbox Series X console that I have, and it's whisper quiet. It looks nice. It's instant on. That Xbox is on, ready to play games before my TV finishes powering on. So, that's how fast it is. The speed of it is just great. The biggest downside to the Xbox Series consoles is the storage. I know SSDs are expensive, so I get it that we're getting what we pay for, but dang it, if I didn't want more storage, I got to keep transferring games back and forth between my external and my internal, because I haven't bought the little expansion yet. And just, it takes 15 minutes to move a file, but just that 15 minutes, you're just like, oh man, I want to be gaming right now. And just 15 minutes to do that. The hard drive space is the number one. It's the Achilles heel of the generation so far.
The sad thing is, if you have fast enough internet, it's almost faster just to re-download games. Seriously.
Oh well, I don't pay for that. I'd rather just move it. Wait the 15 minutes. So yeah, that's the best part of it. I don't know, so I did the mid-gen upgrade, so I've been experiencing 4K HDR, all that stuff with the X, with the One X, and so when the Series X came out, the main difference was the speed. And playing games like Red Dead Redemption 2 on the One X versus the Series X, it's just, why ever play it? Why am I even ever going to power on another older Xbox server again, other than for nostalgia on certain games?
Yeah.
So yeah, I love this generation so far. It is turning out to be the best generation, and hopefully soon I'll get a 2 terabyte expansion on my hard drive.
Yeah, great point on the storage. I've one thing I forgot to mention when I was talking about the Xbox One was like, remember the shock value, guys, we all had the first time we saw those articles and installed a game that was 50 gigs. You know, considering the 360's largest games barely ever touched 20, even at their best. And here it was like we're getting these 50, and we're going, man, I hope that's the largest we're going to see. And boy, was that ever wrong. The 50 starts
to like 110
like,
gigs
damn.
Now.
Yeah, you're like 50,
I have to say that
gigs?
that was the one downside, that all of a sudden you had to install the games on the hard drive, even if you had the disc. That was the one. That was the one point when I first got it that I went, okay, this is gonna suck. You know, because
especially
then you couldn't just put the disc away
either.
You still had to put the disc in so it could read the disc enough to see, okay, you actually own this game.
Yeah, and if you got bad internet, big game files are even more painful. I mean, geez, even with good internet, it can take hours. It's crazy. So that's what I tell people. That's on community game nights. Like, that's why we like to post those games days in advance. So that way you're already notified and can get your game ready or choose not to play it. Period. But yeah.
Yeah, so everybody be ready, because we're going to be playing Call of Duty in July of 2023.
Start downloading now.
Pretty much.
Buy your dedicated hard drive right now, because Call of Duty's hitting that way.
Paul, you're up next. How do you feel up to this point about the Xbox Series generation?
I love it. I was actually lucky. I had a friend who actually sent me the money for it for my birthday. He actually sent it to me early so I could get in on the pre-order, because I messaged him, said pre-orders in October. Can I get kicked up a little early? 10 minutes later, I had the money. So then I had to sweat for a month and a half. Come on. So, but then I was one of those. I had tabs open for Amazon, Best Buy, and the Microsoft Store, and I was refreshing, and the one I thought was doing the least was the Microsoft Store, and about 36 and a half minutes in, I finally got into the system, and at 37 minutes, I had a console, and I was literally about to give up and go, well, I'm just going to have to wait till later, and so right at the end of my rope, it said, it completed the transaction, and I was like, yeah, you know how many times I went back to that page and refreshed it for the confirmation, by the way, for like a week afterwards, waiting for the money to leave my account, which is very weird for me. Come on, take it. Oh, God, please take it. Oh, the money's gone. Yeah, I'm solid. I'm good. Yeah, all right. Yeah. So, I was... But the console itself, I've always been very happy with it. I actually had the HDMI port in my original Series X. Actually, I went to plug in the cord, and the port fell into the box. Well, that ain't right.
No.
It actually happened before I moved here. So I sent it to Xbox, and I actually had it shipped here. It was here about 3 weeks before I was, actually. But one thing I have to say is one thing they did very well, unlike another company we won't talk about. They always hold back consoles just for this purpose. They know they're going to have a percentage of failures. I knew I wasn't going to have to wait for a replacement. And so I had, as soon as I got here, it's going right now. It's been going like a pro, and I've always loved the way their system works. I think they learned a lot from their 360 issues. They're like, we're always got to keep a stock on hand so we can quickly refurbish and get the units back out to the gamers. So, and even though they've been hard to get until recently, like this
However,
week,
I heard that's a downside. Like if you have a special edition console break on you and you send it in, they probably send you back a regular one. Is that correct?
That is correct.
That's kind of sucky. Like that, like for me, if my Gears 5 console breaks, I guess I'm stuck with it because I know I am trading that in and getting back a regular.
Your best shot is to take it to a repair shop.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, at that point, your best shot is to take it locally.
Yeah.
To a repair shop that can deal with it and pray, you know.
Pray, yeah.
Because it's quicker for them just to send you a refurbished. I actually checked. I always document my my serial numbers when I send stuff in just for this purpose.
Mm-hmm.
To see if I'm getting my console back or if I'm getting a refurbished model. I don't care because it's still under warranty when it's refurbished.
Right.
But it's interesting to watch that process because sometimes I have gotten the same console back. Other times it's like it's quicker for them to go, yeah, it's broke, send them a new one.
Yeah.
Or like right now the headset I'm wearing is a new headset. My old headset had been giving me issues connecting and staying connected to the Xbox from like day one, but I didn't know if it was the Xbox. But I put in a request order for repair 2 months ago. I couldn't get it shipped, and so I canceled that one. And when I put it in this time, they said you're under warranty. We're just gonna replace it. They didn't. I didn't. My old one is still sitting here. They didn't make me send it back. Okay. So I love Xbox support system. They seem to put as far as that goes. They work with the gamer and they want you to be happy. You know, it's probably one of the best.
Well, you know, I always say that
support systems. It's not always the case, but I've never had a bad experience with them.
Well, I always say this to people, you know, it's called good faith, right? And you could do a lot more we all know how bad news or bad reputations travel far faster than having a great experience. You get great experiences, most people don't talk about them, right? You see that all the time at retail, but hey, you screw up just once and everybody knows. Yeah. So like I said, bad faith is the last thing a company that's, you know, trying to gain ground wants to have with his fan base is oh, well, these guys don't look after me. That's terrible. You know, some people just don't care. I mean, like, honestly, Sony's had some issues where people should have walked away from them, but somehow they just kept buying them because they just love it so much. But then again, I suppose Xbox with the red ring of death. But the good thing with Xbox with that is at least they remedied the issue. They did right by their fans and not be like, oh, well, you got the red ring of death. Too bad about you. Thank God, right? But yeah, I'm glad to hear that they're looking after you and they look after a lot of other fans. Not everybody has a perfect experience, and that's expected, but overall, I think they're definitely doing a good job there.
I think, and a lot of times, those less than perfect experiences are expectations. I wasn't expecting a replacement headset without having to send in my old headset. You know, so the fact that they did it without my even prompting for it makes it that much better. But I never go in. You know, some people, I've seen some of the repair or the requests for and complaints, and it's like basically they want a full refund and a replacement, or they think they're owed something. It's like, no, that's not how it works.
No,
you know, that's not the real world. You know, so.
All right. So overall, Paul, pretty satisfied with your Xbox
Series
experience?
And with the games, you know, I enjoyed the medium. I still need to complete it. I actually need to start it over to complete it. Because I was playing it, then I took a break because my mother, she was watching me play it. She said, "Okay, you can't play it until I come back from vacation." And then when she came back, I never got back into it. Gotcha. But yeah, there's not. There's really not one thing I can say negative about it. I mean, seriously. I mean, when I first saw the way it looked and the way it was built, and I knew exactly what it was. It was all about compact, and I saw people were like, you know, early on, people were like, before they actually saw it, they were like, oh, it's gonna suck in air through the top and blow it through. I'm like, no, that's not how it works. It's all about proper airflow. Even before I saw their little diagram, I explained to people what they were doing. They were like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I'm like, just wait. It makes perfect sense. From a cooling standpoint, the Xbox, the Series X is on point. It's probably the best designed console I've ever seen, actually, in reference to cooling. And only because of technology have they gotten to the point to where they can make the components in such a way where they could put them in that shape and do that. I mean, and so, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, right now, it's probably this is going to sound so bad. So X-Body. It's the perfect console right now, except for the storage issues, but the cloud is going to alleviate some of those storage issues. So yeah, I'm perfectly happy with it. Yeah.
Nice. Perfect. And last but not least, Coolcat Terri, how do you feel about the Xbox Series S and X? Are you been satisfied with it so far? What have been the highlights?
Yes, I'm thoroughly satisfied. I have the X, and because I, like you, I wanted to have the disc drive because sometimes I do still rent games if I'm unsure. So I wanted to make sure I had the ability to do physical. And overall, yeah, I'm very, very pleased with the console. The quick resume is nice. I do have a pet peeve, though. It'd be nice if they had it to where it wouldn't do quick resume on games that you have to be connected online to play, because it's pointless, because you have to reboot it anyway to reconnect to the server. So there's really no reason to have the quick resume. I did
want to mention that. It'd be nice if they gave us a user flag so we could set that off. If they're not going to do it, let us do it.
Yeah, because there's no reason to have a quick resume on a game that technically can't, because it has to reconnect to the servers. So that's just a small thing, though. And for me, it was pretty easy to obtain them. I followed a guy that writes for Tech Radar, and he was really great on posting on his Twitter when stuff was available. And he always dropped the link so that way you could just click it and get it and not have to, and save a lot of time. And I was able to secure 3 Series X's in the same month. So I bought one for my husband, I got one for me, and then my buddy, he sent me money and I bought him one. So it all worked out. And so yeah, it's been a positive experience. The storage thing isn't an issue for me, just because I don't play the big competitive like multiplayer games, so I don't have them, filling up my storage, like Call of Duty does. So like I don't play that, so that's not I'm not hurting on storage. I'm good on storage. The games I tend to play are games where I put like 50 to 200 hours in, and I uninstall them because I'm not going to play them ever again. So it's no big deal. What was I gonna say? I don't even know. Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, there's like nothing I can really say bad about it. I love how fast it is. When the consoles were coming out, since we had like our down period of games, everything, with the pandemic and everything got delayed, it gave us a chance to work on backlog. So at the end of the Xbox One generation, I was playing through Watch Dogs Legion. And so once I got my Series X, I continued and finished the game on the Series X. And my gosh, that game was super slow to boot up on the Xbox One. Super slow. So it is like a huge difference when you could see how quick it is to load that sucker up. Because Legion was slow. Legion has a lot of stuff going on in it, and it made a huge difference. So I really, really enjoyed that. And like my husband, he plays Destiny. It's like the only game he plays is Destiny. and he wanted the Series X just because the load times on Destiny are horrendous. So he was able to, shave that time down. And even just getting into the menu and looking at his gear would take freaking forever. So now those problems are gone. So he's quite thrilled. So it was worth it just for that experience.
Nice. Top games so far for yourself?
For myself?
Anything stand out to you? Like, man, this looks really good on the Series X, or the sort of thing?
No, because I'm in a different boat. I don't have 4K. So I'm still playing everything on 1080. So
Damn, we got to get this girl a 4K.
all right, so everything. I mean, I can
Minimum
know.
2K.
I can notice that, in the 1080, the things, look a
Yeah.
lot better, run a lot smoother compared to the Xbox One versions. I still notice a difference, but I'm not seeing the crazy high def like stuff that people are on 4K are seeing. Like, I don't see that. So,
Well,
but,
the HDR
Dolby
is one of
Vision.
the things
Dolby
you'll,
Vision.
HDR is huge when it's implemented correctly, and I say that because not every game, some games claim to have it, but it looks terrible. And I wish that games that have a more of a have it sort of auto adjusted, because there's a lot of these games and you get them and you got to go in and you got to actually set the HDR up based on your TV kind of thing, and it's always kind of hard to get right. It's either too dark or too light, and it's kind of like fiddling with the brightness. And it's it's kind of annoying sometimes. I just wish it was kind of like set, and it was like, okay, that's how the game's gonna look.
I don't
I real quick, I can understand why they don't do that, because everybody has preferences for the levels of light that they like,
right?
And the level of push through color and stuff like that. So I'm glad that we have those little sliders, and for each game, I'm willing to take a few minutes the first time I boot it up and tweak it a little bit. It gives me the better experience. So that's just my take.
Sorry, Terry, continue.
Also, I don't play my consoles on TV. I have everything hooked up to my PC. So I use PC audio. Everything's through PC, because only time I ever get to play a game is I'm streaming it. So I don't play on TV. So until I decide to upgrade my monitors, which I have no interest in doing right now because monitors are freaking expensive, and I have 3 of them. I'm not in a rush for it, because graphics aren't my priority.
That is some Matrix stuff. Let me look at all this.
So like graphics aren't my priority. As long as the game runs smooth, that's more important to me than how pretty it is, because you can have the prettiest game and it could play like crap. So it don't matter to me.
Nice.
So which one has been your favorite not pretty game?
Which one has looked the crappiest but played very well? Okay, no.
I've been really pleased with like Far Cry 6. Looks pretty good, and like I can't even see what everybody else sees with Far Cry 6. But like,
game totally looks like shit. I agree.
but no, like Far Cry 6 looks great.
Nice.
I'm kidding, Terry. I'm kidding. Yeah. All right. Cool.
Well, so far it sounds like 4 of us 5 panel members have been extremely happy with their Series X. And hey, I'm not to sound like a broken record, but yeah, the first thing you notice, the first thing I'm going to start with, and it doesn't get enough credit, I know it's a very small thing, but was the packaging. You got this package, and this is the first time an Xbox came in packaging that was really like, well, this is different. Like, you open this up and it felt premium. It felt like some of the products we've been getting, and I will reference Apple, because Apple's always had sort of nice, clean packaging, and that's what this was. Very nice, clean. It felt like, okay, now I am opening a premium product. I'm not opening eggshell cartons and all these papers everywhere, and you got this expensive console, but it's in this really cheap packaging. And again, I said that's irrelevant at the end of the day, but it sure is nice, when you can actually display the box, and it's something that you actually, for the first time, perhaps in years, go, man, I want to hang on to the box. I don't want to throw this out in the garbage. I want to keep it because it's cool, and it's your console sits in there really nice. You don't need an architect degree to figure out how it goes back in the damn box, because we've all had that, right? When you try to repack up a console and you're like, how in the F did this thing come out of here? Because I can't get it anywhere close to those people got it back in there. Like crazy.
It was great. It was a great design for unboxing
on the packaging.
Videos.
Real quick on the packaging. That was also they've been getting into it, but that was their first major foray into accessibility packaging. You'll notice there was no tape on that package.
Yeah,
it was all easy to open, easy to access.
On that package.
If there was, it had the pull away labels, dude. If it was from Microsoft, it had the pull away labels with little tabs you could grab.
The next one is gonna be using that glue that they use for letters. So it's gonna go like, there you go for.
But you didn't have to use. You didn't have to use. You didn't have to use a pocket knife or a letter opener. You didn't have to go through shitloads of plastic. It was all just easy to slide open and get right there.
Yeah.
The only downside, and I told them this, because of the way it's shaped, there's no easy way to grab the damn thing for a person like me who basically has only one good hand. There really is no. My hand's big, but not that big. Okay, where I can grip it and pull it out. Yeah, I'm gonna stay away from that. That even my hand's fine. Don't go there.
Okay,
but you know what I mean. So, and that is, I told, and they haven't done anything with it. But I thought, some sort of at least temporary handle for when you first get it to set it up would have been nice.
What Paul's saying, he has trouble sometimes gripping and pulling at his package.
Yeah, stop.
Paul is over there trying to rescue people. Take my strong hand.
Oh,
We're
crap.
not gaming after dark. Stop it.
But yeah, like I said, that was the first thing you noticed. Really sexy, clean looking packaging right from the the graphic design and the outlay and the Master Chief on the back. Obviously, nobody's more prominent to Xbox than Master Chief. And then inside, just again, and then you look at the console, right? Just not I guess the most sexiest looking console in the world, in my opinion. It's more about functionality than about the looks.
See, you say that, and I think it's a damn sexy looking console, dude. I really do.
And some people do. I personally would, when it comes to on the look side of thing, I will take the PlayStation 5. I had them both together, and just because the PlayStation 5 looks very, different and futuristic. But like I said, I do like the ventilation, like in the top, and I like it when you look at it on a certain angle. You get those, the green comes through, the colors and stuff like that. And again, it's functionality. I mean, one of the big things is if you do want to add expanded memory, you don't have to pull off a plate or use a screwdriver. You just pop the little memory stick right in the back, and away you go. That's simple with Xbox. Not this complicated stuff. And having to pull things apart and potentially damage your warranties to try to install memory. I think that was a design flaw from the competitors. But anyway, what's going on? Not game after the early morning. Oh, there's some great commentary going on in our own private chats over there right now. Heck. But, outside of that, it comes down to, obviously it's about the games and it's about marketing. It's about a whole lot of things. So let's start with the controller as well. Again, how do you improve on the best? It's hard to. Obviously Microsoft knows that they have an award-winning controller design that they didn't have to mess with. They didn't have to reinvent the freaking wheel. And that's great for them. Because they had a controller that people loved, and it was obviously unanimous, which is why we saw little tweakings here and there, but nothing that was going to be like, oh my God, this is a totally different beast. I love their new controllers right out of the box. They feel good. Like they always have, but of course the feature of the share button, which is something again that fans have asked for, the instantaneous share button instead of pause, go to a screen, click of this. And again, we also forget that the older Xbox One initially was designed with Kinect in mind. So you weren't supposed to click a button. You were just supposed to say Xbox, snap, boom, Xbox share. And that's really how simple it was back on the Xbox One. But again, people just kind of didn't get that. So it went by the wayside and the rest is history. But back to the Series X. And I can't comment on the S. The S looks like a phenomenal little console. I love the size of it, but I don't own one, so I can't really comment on it. I do love the aesthetic. I like how that one looks and all that stuff. And I guess priced right. But this one as well, I mean, a lot of us, I think, are still in shock that Microsoft was able to get this in at the price point they did. For the technology that's inside the box, to buy a PC equivalent would cost you exponentially more. Is that correct, Paul?
Yes, absolutely. Especially with graphics cards the way they are now. Yeah, good luck trying to stay in that $500 budget.
That's right. And we saw, and that was funny because during the Xbox One X, we saw, how many times do we see publications and these computer experts or so-called experts try to compete a PC up against the X for the same kind of performance and comparison, and most could not do it. The only way they could actually do it was to get like third-party mix-mash parts, Frankenstein parts as we call them, and try their best. But it was proven time and time again that you could not compete with the One X on that level. And the same thing rings true here. The world's most powerful console for a phenomenal price. So kudos to Phil and the design team for that. And again, for coming in aggressively and making this console, a must have. And again, 4K disk drive, all that stuff. So functionality, looks, that all winner. Games wise, guys, like I said, Perhaps we haven't really been blown away yet. There hasn't been a lot of games that I feel has certainly plateaued or hit that graphical ceiling, but we never do really. Like we see that at the start of every gen, the games are a lot more like ported versions with extra features, and then towards the end of your gen, you start seeing those games that go, holy Toledo, I can't believe that game looks this good. And I think we'll see a bit more of that as time goes on. We are seeing it to some degree, but you all mentioned, every single person here mentioned that one thing that blew you away, the speed. We've gotten so used to the old disk drive and the old mechanical hard drives from the past, and watching these games load forever and sit there looking at the damn screen forever. And now it's almost instantaneous, like 3-4 seconds you are in and going. It's the one time in this world where having a quickie is actually more important than anything. So we enjoy the speed, and I think, and it's true, because I still use my Xbox One X quite a bit, and when I play some of those games now, and I'm like, oh man, like this thing is molasses. It's like, what is going on? So that's a huge thing. Again, memory is one of the drawbacks. Hopefully things come down in time. Pretty limited storage to begin with, and then of course you got to buy these ultra expensive cards to get the full benefit. Like I said, you can store your stuff on a mechanical hard drive and plug it in, but you cannot get the Series X features and functionality the same. Like, so, games that they're just going to look like your Xbox One games, essentially. They won't benefit from the extra speed hard drive and all that sort of stuff. So, but the games look great. Like I said, we're seeing games now running at like beyond 60 frames a second. We're seeing backwards compatible stuff look and play better than it ever has. Shaddai alluded to it earlier with like Mini Ninjas. It's like running at like 60 frames and has HDR, auto HDR, like all this kind of stuff that we take for granted. You go back and play some of your old games and relive them all over again. Like they're almost basically nullifying the whole remaster issue. Like, why do you really need a remaster when your games almost are remastered out of the box due to the technical geniuses at Xbox and the backwards compatibility stuff that's just phenomenal. So, for me, the games that are out so far, like we haven't seen a lot of exclusive, I guess, so far. Forza Horizon is definitely an eye burner and a big winner. Forza Horizon 5, it's been absolutely phenomenal, and a great testament. We're seeing like what they're saying, upwards of now almost 12 million people playing a racer, but nobody plays racers, right? We're seeing a lot of great stuff, and even the game, which is not perhaps the most graphically impressive, but I'm totally blown away with the genius work at Double Fine. Psychonauts 2, one of the best games I've played this gen, and certainly one of the best games I might have ever played. It's just absolutely phenomenal.
It's one of the greatest platformers ever made. It's right up there with the greats.
Well. Control.
It's right up there with Mario. It's right up there with Banjo. It is amongst the greats.
It is. It should be. And it doesn't get enough love. I don't see enough love for Psychonauts 2. It came out, and of course everybody bragged about it, and just like that, it's already like in the lost and forgotten pile. I call it the PlayStation 1 and done pile.
A lot of people played it through. A lot of people have played it through, is what
right.
It is. And it's not that it's lost and forgotten. They've moved on after they completed it. So
I went achievement hunted on it, and the story achievements, none of them were rare. None of them.
Yeah. That's great. There's just so many instances. So, like I said, we're still very infantile. Obviously, the big game we're all waiting for now is the flagship Halo Infinite, and in just a few short weeks, we're going to be able to play the campaign. And I hope that it's solid, and certainly if the multiplayer is any indication, the blend of old and new was done really well. And I hope that they sort of find that balancing with the Halo Infinite campaign. And based on sort of the, I guess, stuff that I'm hearing from people that have early access to it, it sounds like it is shaping up to be a great experience. So let's cross our fingers and hope that everybody feels the same. Xbox has no games. Aren't we tired of probably the most overused slogan of the past 10 years for Xbox? We heard that all the time.
Then they moved the goalpost.
Yeah.
No new games.
No new games.
Like, stop it. Just stop.
No new games. No Game of the Year games. There's
Halo Gears Forza. Halo Gears Forza.
Yeah. No exclusives.
Yeah, I don't care what anybody says.
Okay, Halo Gears Forza. So God of War, Uncharted, and Gran Turismo.
Yeah,
That's your
so
flagship
there you go.
shit.
No, you gotta
Nintendo,
mention system
Mario,
sellers. Gran
Zelda.
Turismo's not a system seller.
Right? Oh, it used to be.
Oh shoot!
I'm just
It
kidding.
used
I'm
to,
just kidding.
it used to
By,
be.
by,
Axel
by,
taking
by,
jabs.
by the way, Newf, you touched on something, and I wanted to mention that when I had to send in my Series X to get repaired, it means I had to go back to my One X.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to feel pain, people, seriously, go back to your old console and play some of the games. And you will miss quick resume. You will just miss it. I mean, if you think, oh, there's not that much of a difference, trust me, you feel it. You feel it.
Yeah.
And you feel it bad. It's like, nope.
You're gonna wait for that
Never
startup.
again. Not going
And
back.
from a UI perspective, sure, I was a little disappointed that they basically didn't change a whole lot, but I understand the purpose behind it, and it makes a lot of sense. It's, again, they heard those complaints. They heard how many times people switch to a new console and feel alienated because everything is moved, everything's in a new spot. I mean, essentially, if you got something that's functional and it works, you don't have to change the wheel. I mean, heck, we've got PCs that have basically run in the same operating system for how long, and sure, they tweak it and they add something and stuff, but like, they're not reinventing the wheel every single time they come out with an operating system, and consoles should be close to the same. Apple doesn't, like, they had how many phones now? Like 15 phones. They don't completely overhaul the way their phone runs and operates every time they do an iteration. They improve something, they add something, maybe they take away something that didn't work. So I think that mantra is true. We might be done with the days of you have to overhaul everything just to kind of feel fresh and new.
I wanted to mention that too, because you mentioned the controller and the fact that it hadn't changed that much. If you look at the way they do things, they do with the UI too, because the UI is very close to the Windows 10, 11 UI.
Yeah.
It changes over time. They do little tweaks over, over a period of years actually. And then by the time they actually do the official launch, you're getting the new cleaner. Even now, we've gotten updates for the low latency on the controllers. All the controllers are low latency now. We've all gotten the update by now, I think. So they're doing a lot of changes and tweaks that we never see, or that become, this controller we have will be changed by the time the next generation comes out. But it still may be the same basic controller on the outside, but on the inside, it's doing all kinds of new funky stuff.
Yeah, well, there's little things they change, like the thumbsticks, the grip.
Instead of being a big wow, look at this change it's happened. It's been filtered over the last year and a half, 2 years. And I think that's what people don't get when they downplay that. Well, look, the controller's the same. Well, actually, no, it's not. And if you go back to an older controller, you can feel it. Those of you with controller collections, go grab one from the launch of the One X. Or
the controllers, guys. I mean, look at the headset Paul's got on his head. That's the Xbox wireless, right?
Yes, absolutely.
We've heard, and how many people? Right? Go ahead.
I can hear my PC and my Xbox through the same connection on my head, which means I could have music going or a show going in the background, and you would never know it if I'm streaming. And
I've watched multiple reviewers on this.
I love the dual connection. It's one of the best things I've ever invested in.
Well, look at that design. That headset is well designed. Like one of the first with the rotary dials, instead of playing around trying to find like 500 friggin' buttons on the sides. and it's great audio balancing. It's not perhaps the best headset on the market, but it certainly is one of the best you can get within that price range. That's the key, and that's what a lot of reviewers said. For the price that it came in at, what, 99 US, but 130 Canadian, I dare you to find something that is fairly equivalent in that price range. It's hard to find. So Microsoft not only giving people great value with their console, but coming in flying with stuff like that headset. Mind you, the Series Elite controllers.
Yep,
I'm a
I
little
was
bit
about to mention that.
$230 Canadian to buy the next Elite. I think I paid $150 for the Series Elite 1 controller, which I thought was damn crazy, but 200 and something, like, it's a hard pass for me, man. Gonna have to be a pretty damn good controller. Gonna have to be able to play Halo by itself for me to pay $230 for a controller.
But look at the treatment that Microsoft did to that controller for people that actually are very into the shooters and all that. How they treated the consumer, let's put it, the Xbox consumer, with their premium away from the third party, and it's pretty good, the Elite, Series 2. So that's another thing.
So overall, guys, like I said, 1 year in, very impressed. The positives far outweigh the negatives with this launch. And their marketing is really coming around. Did you guys even see the latest one at the football game? The AR of the drop ship coming down in the football stadium.
The Oregon Ducks.
What that was cool, man. That's some next level stuff right there. That's wild. We're seeing it everywhere. Like up here in Canada, they just had an Xbox Series promotion with Tim Hortons. I mean, that's huge. I said that before. Like, you got to get your product in front of people that basically are everyday people. And like up here, like Tim Hortons is a religion. Going there in the morning and getting your morning coffee and your donut. Like, there's no better place to have Xbox front row and center than at Tim Hortons, because it's a Canadian thing up here. So
I'm sorry, what is that? Tim Horton?
Have you never heard of it, Tim Hortons?
I don't know what you're talking about.
So it's a coffee donut
Shut up.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
he knows.
You're pulling my
He
leg.
knows.
Okay, I was gonna say it's basically Canadian's version of Dunkin' Donuts, I suppose. But yeah.
He's pulling your Timbits. He's pulling your Timbits.
They have expanded into the U.S.
Hey,
As a matter of fact,
like New York and them, that's popular over there.
as a matter of fact, was it Burger King bought them out here a few years ago? So they're actually owned by the Burger King company.
So that means the coffee tastes like burgers. In liquid form.
So yeah, dude. It's Timmy's. We call it just Timmy's. And when you're going to Timmy's, that's what they mean up here in Canada.
Timmy Burger.
Terry, I have a question for Terry, or maybe some advice for Terry. When you talk to your husband, Terry, you're gonna tell him, hey, you wouldn't do this, would you? You would do this. You would treat it like this.
Wow.
Boy, our show has had a few off the rails today, hasn't it? Oh, great stuff.
That just came so out of left field. Like,
Wow.
Gamer talk.
Next week's episode, Axel is going to show everyone how to play with your joysticks.
We're talking about the real pleasures of the controller.
When you guys were talking about the share button, I was gonna say, like, I keep my share button disabled because I like to keep my erotic Forza pictures to myself.
Damn, erotic Forza picture. Now my curiosity is piqued. What have you been doing with those cars? Huh? Look at the size of that muffler.
Thank you.
Oh crap!
Okay, well, we just flew off.
This show has gotten so off the rails today. Paul even went up and put glasses on, for crying out loud.
So I can read the chat. That's how blind I'm getting.
Crap.
By the way, since I have a moment here, let me say good morning to Joe Dunmore, who stepped into the chat a few minutes ago.
He did.
Yeah, he was. He said he woke up. He just woke up.
Anyway, guys, we've certainly missed Scrub today, but this has been a dynamite show. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
I think I already said my final thought.
Okay. By the way, Axel, was a great podcast on Friday night. It was really, really heartwarming to see everybody's like families kind of take part and be a integral part of the show. So great stuff. I like what you guys are doing. Yeah, good job. Yeah, good job. All right, but anyway, guys, and nice to see Shaddai's better half there early this morning. She wasn't on camera for the show, but we did get to say hello to her before we went live to air. So there you go.
Yeah, she was actually like hiding away while she was watching, in an angle because she didn't want it to ruin the podcast. So she felt.
Hey, family can never ruin podcasts. They only make them better, bro.
Yeah, I told her she could be, she could be in it if she have any ideas or any, opinions, because actually she's an Xbox fan also. So, but she likes her main game through this. Let's put it from the 360. That's when I actually met her during that year. Was pretty much Kingdom of Keflings. So she played that a lot. Then after then after that, once she started playing Mini Ninja, I lost her. I'm like, honey, come here, let me alone. I want to play Mini Ninja and Kingdom of Keflings. I'm like, oh boy, never mind.
Now there's a game that needs a sequel, Mini Ninjas 2. Let me tell you, bring it out.
Hey, IO Interactive is the one who created, so I wouldn't be surprised if they created that if Microsoft, buys them. So I wouldn't be surprised.
That'd be a great franchise to certainly to continue on with, because great character design and nice graphics and stuff, and they hold it well because the art design. But anyway, that's another topic.
But if they created that, I want to see some blood into that. So,
oh Lord,
it's a kids game, man.
There's not many ninjas anymore. That's more
Hey.
combat ninjas.
Hey, you could say, hey, no, don't worry, it's nothing wrong. It's just ketchup. You know.
Oh my
That's right.
goodness.
So it's like I want to see blood splatter in the Lego games. Come on, let's have some fun. Yeah.
Hey, but at least we see pieces. You know, you could see Lego blood. You know what I mean?
Oh man. Yeah,
Yeah, that meaning Ninja will go to an M-rated real fast.
Yeah, decapitating someone in a Lego game, you start to see little red blocks popping out.
That's what I'm saying.
Speaking of Lego games, guys, what the hell is going on with that Star Wars Lego game? That thing is like supposed to have been out last year.
No.
It's been delayed how many times? Like, is that ever coming out or what?
No, not only that. Where's the Lego Halo that we saw a long time ago? We need, you know.
That one was done. That was a demo, I think, done by the people that made the other one. What's the other one that's next to the Lego? The competing product. Mega Blocks. Yeah, Mega Blocks Halo.
But still, hey,
I don't think that was ever intended to be a fully functional game.
No, that was kind of like somebody doing a tech demonstration or something like that. But I think a great idea though. Like it would sell like crazy. It would.
Exactly.
Yeah, like Microsoft is sitting on a couple of gold mines. Make that game and make a Mario Kart style Xbox game. Like it needs to happen. Like the guys at Playground or Forza or somebody should make that game, and they'll have a winner on their hands. I mean, look at all of the franchises they got now. They can incorporate it into one game. It'd be insane, right? Warthogs and armadillos and all that stuff from the famous franchises, and the Fallout Boy now from.
I'd rather have like a Fusion Frenzy
not
type.
Fallout Boy, Jesus.
No, I'd rather have.
Is it Pit Boy?
You know what?
I'd
rather have
Boy, but not Fallout Boy.
Fallout Boy, yeah.
No, I'd rather have something different.
You mean Vault Boy?
Vault Boy, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, Fallout Boy is a different thing. Yeah,
I've been corrected. Yes.
I'd rather have something different, since like Nintendo have Smash Brothers and PlayStation have another one. They should have a Fusion Frenzy for only, Fusion Frenzy, but only Halo, Halo characters. So
gotcha.
It would have been nice like that.
Gotcha. All right. Well, anyway, guys, that's the end of it. And that is our look at the Xbox retrospective. Happened over the course of 2 podcasts. I knew it was going to be too big to fit into one. And this one's already gone nearly 3 hours in. That's crazy.
Yeah.
We're going to get out of here. Let's start with the outros. We'll go in the reverse order. We'll start with Coolcat Terri, who hopefully can get back to some normalcy in the weeks ahead. Kind of missed seeing her on camera today, but she did a great job as always. Coolcat Terri, where can people catch up with what you have happening, if and when you have anything happening, because of the issues that are happening with you right now?
Yeah, I don't exist online anymore, so no. But you guys can still, check me out on Twitter. It's Coolcat_Terri. I'm still pretty active on there when I can be, but otherwise, yeah, I haven't really been streaming much, and pretty much everything's been kind of stopped right now. So probably won't be until mid-December before I can start getting back to normal again when I move.
There you go. Cerebral Paul, let people know where they can catch up with your multiple happenings.
Primarily, you can find me on Twitter at Cerebral Paul 1. You can find me on Twitch and YouTube at Cerebral Paul. You can find me Sundays here, Good Morning Xbox. On Tuesdays with the Retro Renegades, we make gaming after dark look like Sesame Street. Think about that. No more Wednesday show, at least for the time being, unless I decide I want to start something up, because there at this point there is no more midweek gaming for various reasons, but nothing bad. Just if we've decided to call the show. Thursdays you can find me, of course, on 4GQ TV with Clowns and the gang, and we have a lot of fun over there. We go beyond gaming and 4GQ TV. And then on Friday and Saturday, of course, with community game nights with our British compadres. And on Saturday, Newf and I and Nitro, we head up the Saturday contingent Saturday night. And I don't know what we're doing next week. I don't think Newf knows what we're doing next week.
Not yet. I can tell you this, though. I won't be doing Halo next week. Like, I got to give it a rest. Yeah. Can't do it every single week. Got to find something to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, I got to mix it up a little bit. Plus, there'll be other stuff coming out at some point, I'm sure. Maybe.
Yeah. We'll be revisiting Halo closer to the launch, I'm sure. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, next week is the 4th, and then the weekend after that is the 12th, and Halo's going to come in that midweek.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there you go. That's where you can find me. The big thing is just follow me on Twitter to get all that information as it goes live. And I also stream on my own channels every once in a while. I'm trying to pick that up again, but it's just having the drive to do it. I will say I do want to say at some point it'd be fun if some of you who watch. I am going to be playing Among Us, which launches on console on the 14th. On the 18th, which is a Saturday, which is also my 55th birthday. I'm old.
Damn.
I will be playing that, and I hope to have some people from the community join me and play and do some Among Us, and not screen cheat and watch my stream while we do it. But Among Us is fun regardless. So yeah.
Look forward to it.
And I'm one of those people who everybody's like, we have to go to separate chats or we can't say anything. Now talk all you want. Talk crap in the chat. Say, here I come, right as you. Just don't spill who killed you. That's all. That's all I ever ask.
Well, I'm gonna hide inside the vent.
Yeah, because a lot of people you can't talk because it gives it away. I'm like, but it makes for a very, very boring game to watch if everybody's being quiet while they skulk around. Yeah. So maybe plan on joining me for that again. That's December 18th when I get older. When I become too old to drive or something like that. Not that I ever drive. There you go. I'm done.
All right, handing off the reins to Axel1324, the host of the Iconic Gaming Podcast on Friday nights. Great little show. Go catch it if you don't have a chance. He will tell you more about that and every other place you can find him.
All right. Thank you so much, Newf. And as Newf said, you can find me here on YouTube and on Twitch, Axel1324 Gaming. Make sure you add that gaming. I am the host of the Iconic Video Games Podcast every Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's me, Doggy Dog, and Princess Zelda, and with some special guests thrown in there every now and again. And it is a family-oriented show where we only talk about the games. No consoles, no services, only games. Also, you can find me on Twitter and on Xbox at Axel1324, and that's all I have.
All right, last but not least, from Submock22, Eternal Shaddai. I'll let people know what you've got happening in the next little while.
For now, it's nothing. He's just pretty much enjoying, enjoying gaming until probably actually this 2 days, depending. But people can find me on Twitter and Xbox console at Eternal Shaddai. I'll be doing podcasting on Saturday at Cultura de Mancos in Spanish, just in case I'm bilingual. And also, I'll be streaming on my own channel on Twitch at ETE Shaddai. Not too long ago, my wife was the one who was streaming while I was next to her. She was actually streaming Mini Ninja until pretty much 7 o'clock in the morning. So nice. here and there, I'll be streaming either Pillars of Eternity, Mini Ninja. I do pretty much anything, but it was fun. Also, Newf last night on community game night. It was really, really fun. You still owe me. You killed me 2 or 3 times from behind. It sounds horrible, but it was a payback.
You should be used to that stuff from behind by now.
That's how he got that handbag.
I feel at home here.
Yeah, right.
Oh, damn. And guys, obviously, you know where to find me, pretty much in the gutter everywhere. But when I'm not hanging out with this fine crew over here on Good Morning Xbox, you can catch it with me, Meg, and Titan Drago Tuesday evenings at 10 Eastern, 8 Mountain Time. That is Gaming After Dark Guests, where we do bring a lot of that M-rated adult humor or immature humor. It doesn't matter, however you want to look at it, along with gaming news and our thoughts on different things happening. So unfortunately, sometimes it slips out a little bit here during our podcast. Paul tries to keep me in check, but hey, even Paul's been guilty of it a few times. I think we all have been. It's in our nature. And but thank you guys all for your support. It's been absolutely phenomenal. Seen a bit of growth, like I said. Please comment, share, reply. I would love to see my subscriber base hit at least the 2K mark before the end of January 2022. I think that'd be awesome. I can't do it without you guys, though. The chat is amazing. Eduardo Sanchez, glad to see you here in the chat. Everybody that's here, Doggy Dog, Timothy Dix and all these kind of guys, Jago Kukid, You know, Joe Dunmore, Fastback, you know, Mike Mullis,
Back
Gabriel
from
Grant.
the dead. There is.
Back from the dead's here. Yep, absolute Iceman. You know, everybody that comes out, guys, we recognize who you are. We appreciate you. I'll say that week in and week out. Can't do this without you. Certainly not as much fun without you. You guys always keep a great show going as well. A great chat. Very respectful. We're very honored by that. It's not a lot of this back and forth BS you get with some of the other spots, and we appreciate that. So you keep it real. We keep it real. We're just having a good time. And anyway, we look forward to seeing you all again next Sunday. And we'll be back with sort of, I guess, our regular topic list. And hopefully we got a full panel, as hopefully Scrub is back with us as well. Until then, guys, take care of yourselves. Have fun gaming. Perhaps we'll see you on Halo. Cheers. Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.